Immortal Family Cultivation. I am the reincarnation of a great ancestor. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151. A Yan Family. Knock knock. In the dense forest outside the back mountain of the Yan family, several young clansmen met to talk. The arrival of foreign guests from the main branch of the Yan family, the Hai family, the Kunlun Gate, etc., really made the Yongzhou branch lively. The younger generations of the several forces are all young and energetic, and the Yan family is about to hold a family competition, so everyone will inevitably practice and compare moves in advance. As a result, these young people competed with each other. The senior leaders of several parties also intended to add fuel to the flames to select outstanding clan disciples for the next plan. Therefore, in the past month, the Yan family has been in a strong competitive atmosphere. In this case, the exchange has also evolved into a competition, and the competition has a win-lose. The loser will naturally appear to be demoralized and unhappy. This is the case with Yan Qingfeng and others at the moment. Second brother, even you lost to that girl. Someone flashed frustration in his eyes. Yan Qingfeng, the second oldest of the Qing generation in the Yongzhou lineage, answered somewhat unwillingly, "There is no way. The opponent's soul attack is simply impossible to defend against. We are at a disadvantage in this regard. As the Hai family became stronger, they no longer avoided their own 100 Ghosts Yellow Spring secret realm. After eliminating the troubles, almost all the clansmen can enter it to train their souls. They are naturally stronger than the disciples of other forces by half a point." Yan Qingfeng looked at his younger brother beside him and asked, "Kingman, did you win when you fought with King Xiu? I am not an opponent either. It's not that I want to boost others' morale. Maybe you, second brother, can't beat him. This person is really strong." Yan Qingman sighed, somewhat helpless. He lost to Hayumo first, and then to Yan Qingxiu. The clansmen of their Yongzhou lineage did not have a very good record. As for who Yan Qingxiu is, he is a member of the Yan family from the Qishuling lineage, and is also a talent of the Qing generation. He came with Yan Xingkang. Are the people of the main vein really that powerful? I think Yan Qinghan is also quite powerful, and can fight with Hayumo, but is only slightly inferior. In this competition among the four families, our Yongzhou family is the weakest. No wonder it is not well received by the people over at Qishuling. Someone showed a sad face. Just as this sentence was finished, a loud voice rang in everyone's ears. What main vein and branch? What Yongzhou? What Qishuling? I only know one Yan family. The voice was loud and exciting. The person who spoke was Yan Qingxun, who happened to pass by. At this moment, he frowned, put his hands behind his back, and looked solemnly at the young Yan family members in front of him. He had heard what these people said before, and at first he thought it was just a complaint after a defeat. The more he listened, the more something was wrong. Some words made people feel harsh and unbearable. Yan Qingxun vaguely discovered the potential crisis of the Yan family now. That is, the family is scattered and there is a sense of alienation. It is also because of this that these Yan family members will always talk about the main lineage. This is definitely not a good sign. This means that the Yan family may be internally divided. This is what Yan Qingxun has been trying to avoid in his previous life. He had taken relevant measures to prevent this from happening, such as exchanging the two clansmen on schedule, allowing the clansmen in Yongzhou to return to Qishuling, and at the same time, sending other clansmen to Yongzhou. Not only these two lines, but also the clansmen in Yu County are exchanged in this way. The purpose is naturally to keep the Yan family as a whole. But now it seems that these measures still cannot make up for the erosion caused by time. Not only that, Yan Qingxun also heard other meanings from the words of Yan Qingfeng and others. He found that the clansmen in front of him were a little humble. The word branched line has a subtle change on them. It makes them feel that they are inferior, lack of progress, and can only complain. Yan Qingxun said seriously, Yan Qingxiu and Yan Qinghan are my compatriots. They have the same blood as me. I will be happy if they are strong because we are all members of the Yan family. Everyone's goal is to make the family stronger. They are, and so are we. There is no distinction between the main and the secondary in the Yan family, or in other words, every branch is the main branch. The purpose of the Yan family's ancestors adopting the policy of dividing and ruling was to allow the Yan family to retain the fire and bloodline in a huge crisis, Rather than to create a distinction between high and low, Yan Qingxun spoke loudly. Several Yan family juniors around were stunned as if struck by lightning. They listened carefully to the words of the former, word by word. They understood their own mistakes. Looking at the younger generation who was in deep thought, Yan Qingxun nodded secretly. He knew that he might not be able to completely change his ideas for a while, but there was no rush. Yan Qingfang and others still needed his support. That is self-confidence. Be confident that you are not inferior to others. So, Yan Qingxun said again, don't worry, I haven't made a move yet. It's hard to say who is the strongest. Light appeared in the eyes of Yan Qingfang and others again, and then they saw the former's stern face, and suddenly they couldn't hold it anymore. Good 10th brother, when I looked for you, you hid yourself very well, but now you know to run out and laugh at your brothers. That's right, with your 6th level key training, who can you beat? Practice well, we will get back the ground we lost. There is still more than a month before the family competition, so much time, enough for me to break through the bottleneck again. The atmosphere changed from the original low to active. At first, Yan Qingfang and others were shocked by Yan Qingxun's deafening voice, and thought that some high-ranking member of the Yan family passed by. As a result, it turned out to be their 10th brother, who showed himself in front of this person. So, they all joked. But after this battle, the temperament of several people changed significantly. After talking to each other again, they left one after another. And the direction they left was exactly the training room of the Yan family. Watching the backs of the people leaving, Yan Qingxun relaxed a little, but the matter was not over yet. He was a little worried that the younger generations of the Yan family would become arrogant. Especially the clansmen in Qiushiling. After all, the Yan family is now the overlord in Xiaonan County. With the support of the Princess Mansion and the High family behind them, and it is almost the most powerful. It is precisely because of this that those new clansmen who have not experienced the difficult times of the Yan family may develop an arrogant character and become arrogant in such an environment. As the saying goes, wealth cannot last for more than 3 generations. Yan Qingxun didn't want the Yan family to be slightly on the rise and about to step into a higher world, but they pulled their legs and tripped themselves. Yan Qingxi and Yan Qinghan both have to be knocked down and tempered. It's not good for them to be too smooth. This kind of thing that stands out in the forest should be borne by him, the ancestor of the Yan family. Young people still have to suffer a little. Yan Qingxun thought so. Then, he rubbed his chin, a figure appeared in his mind, and he muttered to himself, for Brother Hai's sake, why don't we take care of that girl from the Hai family as well? It was because of my training that Hai Chongyang reached his current level of cultivation. I might as well send him off to the west and let the Hai family produce another talent. Chapter 152 Yan Qingxun's Path, Hai Chongyang's Rejoicing. The tribesmen went to practice, and Yan Qingxun continued to go to the back mountain to prepare for his own sword practice. For example, in the way of cultivation, the strength of kendo and swordsmanship depends on the ability to comprehend the artistic conception. One flower, one world, one leaf, one bodhi. The richer the world contained in your kendo, the broader and deeper your path in kendo will be. It is said that there are kendo masters, whose sword is a prosperous dynasty of billions of people, all-encompassing, and bustling with people. Fighting against it is like facing the entire dynasty, which makes people want to escape. There are also kendo masters, whose artistic conception contains birth, aging, illness and death, and all kinds of life. One sword is a life. The power of artistic conception is no simpler to learn than basic skills, such as alchemy and formation. Some people can only comprehend some shallow morality in their entire lives. In the woods, Yan Qingxun raised a sword with his right hand, picked it up and flicked it, and 2 pale yellow sword beams shot out, splitting the thick tree not far away in half. The 3 autumn sword, after being condensed, contains the meaning of the changing autumn wind. The cultivator who created the 3 autumn sword art was not very skilled and could only depict the scene of the autumn wind. If he could project the entire autumn, it would not be without a single Zhuan level skill, and it would be different from the lower level sword art. But this also gave Yan Qingxun a direction. He could find other artistic conceptions to complete it and perfect the entire autumn. This is where the natural sword body is really powerful. Others need to have their own sudden enlightenment to comprehend the artistic conception. But Yan Qingxun, who possesses this sword body, can directly strip the sword intent from other people's swordsmanship, steal other people's understanding, and transform himself. The sword fell enclosed. Yan Qingxun did not stop, and his temperament suddenly changed. From the original bleak to cold. Hengshui is a strange water in Qingling County. Other rivers will only freeze in winter, but it is the only one that freezes into a frozen river early in autumn. It can be said to be the ultimate expression of the coldness of autumn. And this Hengshui sword art shows this very well. When the concentrated Hengshui sword came out, even the surrounding spiritual energy trembled with coldness. Yan Lingyu tried 2 more swords. Finally, he found out what they were missing. From the beginning, Yan Lingyu's goal was to perfect a new sword technique based on the Sankyu sword and Hengshui sword. But in the meantime, this sword technique was still missing something. Now, he has realized this. When it comes to autumn, the most basic are the 3 images: autumn wind, autumn water, and autumn leaves. Now that there is a bleak wind and cold water, how can there be no withered leaves? Yan Lingyu's eyes lit up. Now, he only needs to find a sword technique with the artistic conception of falling leaves, and after practicing it properly, he can breathe the sword technique that emerged in his mind. There is still 1.5 months before the family competition. There is still enough time, as long as the 3 swords are refined, and then the concentrated sword is simulated through the natural sword body. Then Yan Lingyu's killing methods will have a qualitative leap. After the memory was revived, Yan Lingyu had never practiced Taoism other than swordsmanship. He was no longer interested in those Taoist techniques of ki training. The broad road of swordsmanship has been completely open to him, so why should he pick up sesame seeds and lose watermelons? Now that there are just some signs of autumn mood, he should seize the opportunity to pursue victory. Yan Lingyu has a big heart. He wants to create a sword method with a mood of 4 seasons before entering the foundation building. And the family competition in more than a month will be a good opportunity to test his achievements. According to his estimation, although he is only at the 7th level of ki training now, he has no problem fighting with the 9th level of ki training. You must know that Yan Lingyu's vision is also very high now, not the same age as Yan Lingyu in the previous life. What he calls the 9th level of ki training is naturally not those casual cultivators, but the clan cultivators in the family like the Yan family and the Hai family. This is the terrible thing about sword cultivators. And if he competes, he will be even stronger. Because the competition venue is small and there are many restrictions, each person can only have 1 magic weapon for protection, and generally chooses offensive magic weapons. Usually, when encountering sword cultivators, you can use defensive magic weapons to resist sword cultivators. But on the competition stage, there is no such thing. One-on-one, sword cultivators always have the advantage. A month later, in the attic of the Yan family's reception hall, several men of good temperament met to talk. Xingque, how confident are you of entering the Jianden realm? Yan Zikang asked, looking at his old and arrogant cousin in front of him. Yan Xingque smiled and replied, unless you encounter an extremely suitable and docile earth-level evil spirit, there is no hope. In addition to the 2 senior members of the Yan family, there are 2 middle-aged people here. They are Hai Chonggang, the elder of the Hai family, and Wang Niansen, the supreme elder of Kunlun sect. Xiaonan County is pacified, there are almost no incidents, and no forces dare to provoke the Yan family Iron Triangle. This is also the reason why these Jianden cultivators can run around in their spare time. And they gathered here for only one purpose, that is, to settle in the Central Plains. Hai Chonggang and Wang Niansen also realized that Xiaonan County is just a shallow beach after all, and this shallow beach is still in the hands of Hengshui sect. They also have to seek a new way out for their clansmen and disciples. Since the stronger Yan family also had this idea, they were naturally willing to lend a hand and share a piece of the pie. At this moment, Hai Chonggang's face was a little surprised. He was not surprised by the idle chatter of the Yan brothers. His eyes were always outside the attic, on the younger generations. Nephew Xingpeng, the relationship between your 2 branches looks really good. The problem of branching will appear in almost all family forces, but the time points are different. In addition to Xiaonan County, the Hai family also has 2 branches in other counties. One of them has just been buried, and the other has been hundreds of years old. It is precisely this branch with hundreds of years of history that has recently bred the idea of independence. Fortunately, Hai Chonggang took action in time and barely suppressed it with the power of the golden elixir. But it is only a temporary solution, not a permanent solution, and the root is still there. Therefore, when he saw that the Yan family members got along so well, he wanted to learn from them. Hai Chonggang knew better than anyone why the Hai family could be what it is today. He copied a lot of family rules and laws from the Yan family. It must be said that it is really useful. After 100 years of development, he could clearly see the changes in the spiritual outlook of the family. And they were all good changes. Especially the reading system. The Hai family copied this system from the Yan family intact and used it on themselves. It is also because of this that the younger generation of the Hai family has obviously more talents in various aspects, not just in the path of spirit and soul. Today's Hai family is also the most glorious moment in its 1,000 years. Sometimes, Hai Chongyang would suddenly wake up during his cultivation and look grateful. Fortunately, he did not have a feud with Yan Lingyu at Keishuling. Fortunately, his Hai family has always been on good terms with the Yan family, and fortunately, he learned from the Yan family early. Look at Kongtong sect. Due to various reasons, it cannot use the governance mechanism of the Yan family, and is now increasingly defeated. After hearing the former's words, Yan Zikeng hadn't said much, but Yan Zingui, as the highest-ranking member of the Yongzhou lineage, was the first to speak. This is also very strange. The original family atmosphere was not like this. These younger generations of mine have been somewhat hostile to Chu Shuling, and I don't know why recently, they suddenly put aside their grudges and became friends with him. Not only that, King Feng, King Cheng and the others are also practicing harder than before. The puzzled look on Yan Xinggui's face was even more intense than Hai Chongyang's. Chapter 153 Meeting Content, Perfect Timing. Is it true that the Yan family is blessed by the heavenly Dao? After hearing Yan Xinggui's words, Hai Chongyang showed a look of astonishment. He did not expect that the gap between the branches would suddenly be improved in the Yan family in such a miraculous way. Considering the rise of the Yan family over the past few hundred years, it was hard for Hai Chongyang not to doubt the mysterious heavenly Dao. Looking at the two younger generations of the Yan family who were constantly talking, and Wang Nianse of Kunlun sect who did not know the specific situation, he fell into deep thought again. Often the rise of a force or a person is accompanied by strange phenomena, which may be a treasure from heaven, a genius from heaven, or a sudden rise of forces. And the Yan family obviously occupied all of these. This forced Hai Chongyang to re-examine the relationship between the Yan and Hai families. He could not help but think of a vassal force of the Yan family, the Lu family in Yingzhou. After inquiring, this Lu family was the real one, holding the thigh of the Yan family and advancing all the way. From originally having only one foundation-building cultivator, the strength was unknown in Sheonan County. But now it has grown stronger, and there are many foundation-building cultivators in the family. Hai Chongyang learned that the Lu family actually did not produce any sky-lifting talents. The reason why it can be so prosperous now is entirely because it has climbed up to the Yan family. And the way to deepen its dependence is marriage. In almost every generation of the Lu family, many people have married into the Yan family. Even slowly, the maternal line of the Lu family has overshadowed the paternal line. This sounds a bit exaggerated and a bit lowly. But this is how it is in the world of immortal cultivation. Everyone tries every means to become strong. At first, Hai Chongyang looked down on this kind of family. This idea was reversed after Hai Zai-Ocean died and he took over the Hai family. Only when you are in charge of the family do you know how expensive firewood, rice, oil and salt are. After becoming a big elder, Hai Chongyang understood the hardships of maintaining a force and realized how difficult it is to make a family grow and develop. You can't take one step at a time, you must take one step and look at 10 or even 100 or 1,000 steps. Otherwise, unless you are blessed by heaven, you will never be able to gain momentum. It's all for immortality. Who doesn't want to eat something soft? This is also why Hai Chongyang admires the Yan family and Yan Lingyu. Not only is he gifted, but he is also good at governance. In the past 100 years, the Hai family has been close to the Yan family and has also had marriages, but more of them are still developing independently. But now, Hai Chongyang should consider how to bring the two sides closer again. The head of the family knows his own situation, and Hai Chongyang can see the upper limit of the Hai family. But he can't see the upper limit of the Yan family. But it is worth affirming that it must be much higher than that of the Hai family. And with the development of the Yan family and the iteration of the clan members, perhaps in the future, the relationship between the Yan and Hai families will change. It may get better or worse. If the relationship breaks down, where will their Hai family go? Hai Chongyang, who is already 180 years old, unconsciously thinks more and more. Then, he thought of the little princess Qin Hainer. At the beginning, when Yan Lingyu married her, People in Cheonan County said that it was the Yan family that was lucky and climbed up to the huge power of the princess mansion. But now, such remarks have disappeared. Instead, the Yan family began to help the princess and consolidate its position in the southern counties. Things in the world are so unpredictable. Sometimes, Hai Chongyang would also wonder what the Yan family would have been like if Yan Lingyu had not died. Just thinking about it is scary, and it makes people secretly feel sorry. As for the statement that Yan Lingyu died on the way to treasure hunting because of his eagerness for quick success, Hai Chongyang sneered and would not believe it. His brother Yan is such a meticulous person, how could such an accident happen? In his opinion, Yan Lingyu was probably forced to death by the Hengshui sect. As the chat ended, the expressions of several senior figures present became solemn. Yan Zikang sat in the first seat and said lightly, "A few years ago, my Yan family sent people to the Central Plains to inquire about the news. Now, the general situation has been figured out." He paused, and the eyes of others focused on him, waiting for his next words. Yan Zingqua's eyes flashed, and some doubts in his heart were resolved. In recent years, he found that the Yan family was a little short of manpower because they were short of a group of masters. "I think they were sent to the Central Plains to investigate." Yan Zikan continued, "In the Central Plains, there is a widely known message that this is an era of talents and geniuses, and many extraordinary people will emerge. Therefore, those Central Plains families, sects, and independent cultivators have begun to open their doors and recruit disciples widely. Don't underestimate these Central Plains forces. Some of them are not inferior to ancient sects such as Hengshui sect and Hengshui sect. Times are changing, and these ancient powers are not always in their heyday. For example, the Xianming sect was also destroyed if it said so. This is the best time for the three of us to take over the Central Plains. If any of our clansmen or disciples are chosen by these big forces to become disciples, then the entire family and sect will also benefit from this. Perhaps, those big forces cannot make any great contributions to our family, but a reputation is enough for us to gain a foothold. This is also the reason why I asked you to bring the geniuses from your clans and sects. We need to select a group of geniuses and try to enter these big forces." Yan Zikan kept talking. The other people also nodded in agreement. But everyone was also worried. Their so-called geniuses were not considered geniuses in the Central Plains. At the same time, several people also understood that the competition must be quite fierce, and they must work together. Then, the Yan family took out many books, which were the information about the various forces in the Central Plains recorded by the clansmen. It took 2.5 years just to collect this information. And the Yan family was willing to selflessly take these out and share them with the Hai family and Kunlun sect. It was also out of their own interests. After all, this opportunity to become a disciple of the upper sect is something that can only be encountered by chance. Maybe the Yan family can't do it, but the other two can be selected. The other party will naturally be grateful when the Yan family takes out the information. And with this relationship, the Yan family also has another way to go. Several people solemnly took the book and flipped through it, not wanting to miss a piece of information. This is deeply related to their future development. These Central Plains forces are good and bad. If you find one similar to Hengshui sect, you might as well return to Cheonan County and stay there honestly. Among the many Central Plains forces, there are two that they are extremely yearning for. One is the Juxin League. This is a force brought together by the top independent cultivators. It is relatively loose and very suitable for the joining of foreign families and sects like them. The other force is Kiwai Sword Pavilion. It is said that Kiwai Sword Pavilion is full of a group of crazy sword cultivators who protect their children. If you kill one of their disciples, hundreds of sword cultivators will chase you. Everyone wants to have such a backer. Yan Zingpeng and others began to think about whether there are any talents in swordsmanship in their family. Chapter 154. Between grandfather and grandson, between family members. At night, Hai Chongyang returned to his residence, which was a temporary guest room given by the Yan family. The fluorescent stone in the house was bright. While he closed his eyes and concentrated, there was a knock on the door outside. "Come in." The tall and cold girl pushed the door open. The person who came in was his granddaughter Hai Yumo. Only the latter could see Hai Chongyang, the highest authority of the Hai family, anytime and anywhere. Looking at the other party's face that was like 1,000 years of frost, but very beautiful, Hai Chongyang asked, "Yumo, how are your competitions and exchanges in recent days?" His granddaughter is a little difficult to discipline. In the Hai family, Except for his grandfather, other clansmen can't get the girl's good face. This annoyed Hai Chonggang. He didn't do this at the beginning. Therefore, bringing Hai Yumo to the Yan family has another purpose, which is to temper her temper. Generally, even Yan Qingxiu is not my opponent. Hai Yumo's face was indifferent, but faintly in her eyes, a hint of excitement could be seen. After all, she is a family girl who has never been in the world, and her scheming will not be too scary. But the girl's words made Hai Chonggang's face darken, and he said with a stern face, "Yumo, you should learn to be humble. Hai Yumo's talent is rare in the Hai family. He has a special spiritual body, the Nine Souls immortal body. His unique qualifications in the spirit and soul far exceed all the members of the Hai family in history. Moreover, Hai Yumo is extremely compatible with the Hai family's unique learning Lian Iao Huangquan Sutra, which is why she has her level far beyond her peers. At the age of 17, she has walked the path that Hai Chonggang took 22 years to walk. Her talent is evident. However, her character that is too strong and easily broken makes people feel uneasy. Moreover, as a family power, Hai Chonggang still hopes that his good granddaughter can find a good husband. And the best choice is to marry Hai Yumo into the Yan family. He copied the family rules and regulations of the Yan family himself, and Hai Chonggang's understanding of the other party was even higher than his own family. He understood the character of the Yan family members, and it was a great thing for her granddaughter to enter the Yan family. With a blessing of luck, she will rise higher and higher. Only for this most beloved granddaughter, Hai Chonggang will consider it from a personal standpoint and abandon the idea of family interests. Although from the perspective of family concepts, the marriage between the two parties is also beneficial to the Hai family. Originally, Hai Chonggang wanted to take this opportunity to consider the younger generation of the Yan family, and then settle the marriage with Yan Xingkang. But now Hai Yumo has an expression that regards the Yan family as grass, which makes the former very headache, and wants to speak out to change the other party's thoughts and attitude. "Grandpa, being too humble and modest is inferiority," Hai Yumo said in a loud voice, and raised her proud head, as if to prove something with a proud look. Hai Yumo grew up hearing the same name since she was a child. This name is Yan Lingyu. The Hai family compares her with Yan Lingyu. Her family also wants her to become Hai Lingyu of the Hai family. Perhaps Hai Chonggang himself did not realize that he often mentioned brother Yan and Yan Lingyu. But as the granddaughter who lived with him day and night, Hai Yumo was constantly influenced by it. As soon as the girl was born, Yan Lingyu had withered for 100 years. And she was also born in the heyday of the Hai family. She didn't know what Yan Lingyu meant to the Hai family. But she could hear the constant exclamations of her most respected grandfather. Perhaps, others had a very high opinion of Yan Lingyu, but Hai Yumo was extremely annoyed. She was suppressed by this name for 17 years. It was like a cage that trapped her. Therefore, she hated Yan Lingyu, and as a result, she didn't have a good face for the Yan family. She wanted to prove herself, she was better than Yan Lingyu, and her Hai family was also better than the Yan family. Looking at his granddaughter's youthful and vigorous appearance, Hai Chonggang found his own shadow in the past, and said earnestly, "This is all because the Yan family is humble to you. The Yan family does not care about winning or losing. This can be seen from the generation back then. Your grandfather Yan Lingyu was willing to admit defeat to the Hai family for the sake of the family's interests. These are all worth learning from. Yan Qingxiu is like brother Yan back then, so I think he is also like this, afraid of hitting you." Hai Yumo frowned after hearing this. "Grandpa, the Yan family is not as strong as you think. They will also have times of weakness. This time it's my granddaughter. I will completely defeat the Yan family, no matter whether it is the Qishiling lineage or the Anyanville lineage. No one is my opponent, Grandpa, you wait and see. When their families compete, I, Hai Yumo, can prove this." With that, the girl left without looking back. Only Hai Chonggang was left in the room. He sighed, "I hope Yumo will not be hit too hard by then, like I was back then." All kinds of past events once again came to his mind. He has lived for a long time, and these ignorant memories always pop up suddenly, irritating his nerves. On the other side, Yan Qingxun's family rarely reunited. These days, either Yan Qingxun was practicing outside, or Yan Rudong was busy with affairs, or Yan Qingjin was studying in the school. Anyway, this was the first time in the past 2 months that the family sat together for dinner. "Good son, you have reached the 7th level of key training so quickly, so isn't it possible to build a foundation?" Yan Rudong found the change in the boy's aura and said with joy, "Brother Dong, the clan always says that among the younger generation, King Fang and King Min are the most talented. I don't think so. If my King Sun was not a few years younger, who knows who is stronger and who is weaker." Yan King Sun's mother also boasted like this. As the main boy, he ate his meal with a humble face. As a person who has experienced it, Yan King Sun knows that his parents want him to be successful, but after all, he has passed this stage of passion, so it is not easy to boast. "Brother, you have been running to the back mountain recently. What have you been busy with?" The younger sister Yan Qingjin's voice was still a little childish, and her bright big eyes blinked. "Your brother is naturally going to practice. Unlike you, you just play all day long," Yan's father taught. At the same time, he was also a little curious about what his son was practicing in the back mountain. The family of three focused their eyes on the boy. "Practicing sword." Yan Qingsun answered softly, his face did not change. "Practicing sword. Brother, are you going to become a sword immortal? I heard that sword cultivators are the best in killing, and they have no rivals in one-on-one battles with the same level. It's very cool. Brother, how are you practicing? Teach me." When Yan Qingjin heard that it was sword practice, he immediately became interested. It's average. Yan Qingsun thought that he had not yet perfected the condensed sword, so he answered like this. "How much is average? Okay Qingjin, your brother has been practicing for so long, he must be tired, let him have some peace and quiet." Yan Rudong glared at the girl, then said to his own son, "Qingsun, don't work too hard, you have to learn to take proper rest and combine work and rest." "Dad, don't worry, your son understands." Chapter 155, the competition begins, and talents emerge. Time passed, 1.5 months passed quickly, and there was only one day left before the Yan family's small competition began. Now, Yan Qingsun, based on the 3 autumn swords and this Hengshui sword, has condensed a concentrated sword through the innate sword body, named the yellow leaf sword. This yellow leaf sword technique was not found in the Yan family's library, but was found in the surrounding areas of Damian City, costing him 300 spirit stones. So far, the 3 major artistic conceptions of autumn have been gathered. And after half a month of hard research, Yan Qingsun has integrated the 3 swords into a simple sword manual, the autumn water sword technique. And on this basis, the autumn water sword with stronger power and deeper artistic conception has been condensed. The name of this sword technique is related to its artistic conception, and it also expresses Yan Qingsun's nostalgia for the autumn water ridge far away in Xiaonan County. It's just that the autumn water sword is just beginning to take shape, and he still hasn't mastered it well, so he needs a chance to sharpen the sword. It's just in time to practice in the family competition. The only person who knows about this matter, Yan Zian Wang, the 5th master of the Yan family, deeply feels that the former will be a blockbuster. At the same time, another major event happened in the Yan family. This was about a family competition. This competition was different from the past. Not only the Yan family in Yongzhou participated in it. Instead, the main branch of Keishuling, as well as the Hai family and Kunlun sect, would send clansmen and disciples to participate. As soon as this happened, the Yan family in Yongzhou naturally became nervous. After all, this was their main dojo. If they were not as good as their clansmen, it would be fine. If they were really outclassed by foreign forces, they would be ashamed. While the clansmen were discussing this matter, another important information was announced. In this competition, the 3 parties, the 2 branches of the Yan family were combined into one party, would select 5 outstanding disciples each. These disciples would be sent to the Central Plains to try to join the major forces and be entrusted with important tasks. This was a shocking event. Not only the Yan family, but also the disciples of the Hai family and Kunlun sect were all shocked. Although they did not know what impact this would have on their own forces, they understood that if the family funded them to enter the major forces, it would be an important turning point in their lives. Perhaps among the young people, some will soar to the sky and gain unlimited potential. Moreover, the top leaders also explained that this selection is not entirely based on cultivation, but also on the understanding of the disciples in their respective fields. For example, although some clansmen are not good at cultivation, they have first-class talent in alchemy and can still be selected. The top leaders of each family encourage young clansmen to show their potential as much as possible. This news was released in the past 2 days. Therefore, this matter has become a topic of conversation among various forces. In the entire Anyan Villa, You can hear discussions about this matter almost everywhere you go. Yan Qingxun also has a guess about this. He already understands what the top leaders mean. This coincides with his own idea, that is, to take advantage of the current stability of the family and seek development in the Central Plains as soon as possible. Yan Qingxun feels relieved that at least the clan members still have an accurate view of the overall situation and know what is the most important thing now. The purpose of the competition has changed. The progress of this family competition is also different from the past. There is an additional puppet formation. Because Yan Lingyu has a talent for refining puppets and joined the Yushi sect earlier. At that time, he was not very interested in corpse refining, but his breakthrough in puppets was very obvious. Now, the 200 yellow level puppets and 10 black level puppets of the Yan family were almost all refined by him alone. And he also trained a group of puppeteers. In addition, the Yan family has a foundation and formation. When Qin Ran was alive, he was assisted by the Taoist tradition of Yan Lingyu's Henming sect, and his ultimate achievement was a quasi-formation master. With his help, a set of formations composed of puppets was specially arranged for the Yan family, called the six-sided nuclear puppet formation. This formation contains 36 sets of sub-formations, each of which has 6 corners, each of which is composed of 6 yellow-level puppets as the base. The entire set of 6-sided nuclear puppet formations almost reaches the extreme of the black-level formations. It is the painstaking work of Qin Ran and took 10 years to complete. It can be regarded as the Yan family's family protection formation. And taking it out at this moment as a trial can also show how much the Yan family attaches importance to entering the Central Plains. You must know that the spiritual stones spent on maintaining these puppets are not a small number. If it is damaged during the competition, it will be a big burden, even though the Yan family is huge now. Soon, 2 days passed and it was the second day of the family competition. In the attic of the Yan family, several forces sat high, and their attention was all on those who broke through the puppet array. Why did the Yan family prepare for this several months in advance? It was because they wanted to let some outstanding clansmen who were still outside come back. At this moment, Hai Chongyang realized the gap between his family and the Yan family. Indeed, some of the clansmen he brought were not inferior to the younger generation of the Yan family. But these were the only outstanding clansmen, and they were all famous and known in their early years. Unlike the Yan family, after the competition began, good seedlings emerged one after another. In addition to the well-known Yan Qingfeng, Yan Qingmin, Yan Qingxiu, and Yan Qing'an, there came Yan Qingqiu, who was good at divination, and Yan Qingheng, who inherited Yan Xinggui's mantle and had a talent for manipulating puppets. This made Hai Chongyang feel helpless. He secretly thought that the Yan family was really good at hiding and never put their true strength on the surface. Even if outsiders think he is in decline, the Yan family must keep their trump cards until something big happens, and then they will reveal them. Just like the matter of Yan He. Without the bit of the He family, no one would know that the younger generation of the Yan family has grown to that level. This matter can well reflect the scheming, forbearance, and ability of a force to keep a low profile. The Hai family is fine. After all, they have been dealing with the Yan family for 150 years, and they have some understanding of each other's character and are mentally prepared. But the cultivators of Kunlun sect were stunned. They had no idea where these outstanding members of the Yan family came from. In their minds, showing outstanding disciples is to show the strength of the sect. This is not a chaotic world. For the safety of the younger generation, they need to hide their identities to prevent being assassinated. Moreover, the potential of the younger generation is not an important trump card and cannot be seen by others. On the contrary, if you fully display the new power of the force, others will be afraid of you. The people from the Hai family and Kunlun sect looked unhappy. The top leaders of the Yan family were also worried. In fact, it was not that they were hiding some of the outstanding clan members, but that they really didn't know about them. Some of these younger generations were honing their skills in other places, and some were secluded at home and were not easily seen. After all, the Yan family was strong and could withstand such consumption. Therefore, the top leaders of the Yan family did not really know the situation of their clan members. Otherwise, they would not have set the number of places at 5, and there were too many monks and too little porridge. It can only be said that the Yan family's hiding was from top to bottom. The previous family competition did not produce so many talents. The Yan family was worried and happy. Nephew Xingpeng, my Hai family will give 2 places to your Yan family, Hai Chongyang suddenly said. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156, Yan Lingyu takes action. Yan Lingyu has a vision. In the attic of the Yan family. When Hai Chongyang saw the talents emerging from the Yan family, the first thing he did was to exit and give up the quota to be brought into the Central Plains. Although the three families conspired together, the cost was still very high. Under the normal operation of the forces, it was difficult to have the energy and financial resources to send clansmen to the Central Plains. This is also the reason why they limit the number of places. The Yan family is modest and has the largest size, but it only has the same number of places as the other two parties. Hai Chongyang originally thought that the gap between the Yan and Hai families was not that big. Therefore, the Hai family can still take the quota out of a little selfishness and shamelessly. After all, this matter is really related to their own development. But now it seems that they need to make some choices. Obviously, there are more outstanding descendants of the Yan family. This is also the reason why Hai Chongyang can no longer sit still. Moreover, giving up the quota is also for the consideration of the Hai family itself. Yan, Hai, and Kunlun are the new triangle of Sheonan County. It can be said that they will prosper together and suffer together. If the Yan family really wants to gain a foothold in the Central Plains, their Hai family can also get a bite of meat. This is 1,000 times better than hiding in Sheonan County. The main purpose of the three parties is to settle in the Central Plains first, and other matters of interest distribution can be discussed later. If you can't even enter the Central Plains, what's the point of being allocated a few places? Therefore, the Hai family gave up the quota, and also wanted the Yan family, which has the greatest ability, to contribute as much as possible to ensure that the three parties can truly achieve their goals. After Hai Chongyang finished speaking, Wang Nianse of Kunlun Gate also reacted, nodded secretly, and also said aloud, "My Kunlun Gate is also willing to give up the quota." Yan Zikang knew what the two parties meant. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. He did not act coyly, but clasped his fists in thanks. Then, their eyes returned to the puppet formation again, searching for potential clansmen. The puppet formation has a special structure. Outsiders can only see the specific situation in the formation with the blessing of a special formation plate. In order not to miss any talents, the trials of the younger generation are not carried out in a rush, but are carried out individually in turns. At this moment, under the gaze of the three high-level officials, a sharp figure appeared in the formation. Yan Lingyu held a black iron sword and looked at the 6 puppets in front of him. As long as he raised his hand, the trial would officially begin, and the puppets would immediately launch an attack. He watched carefully for a while and vaguely realized that this was Qinran's work. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. If Qinran hadn't sneak attacked him and forced him into the gap in time and space, perhaps the development trajectory of the Yan family would have become completely different, and it might not have been as strong as it is now. It can only be said that things are unpredictable. And Qinran has fulfilled his promise at that time and devoted himself to the Yan family. Looking back, Yan Lingyu wanted to go to the grave of his old friend and pay homage to him to show his respect. Swish, as soon as he thought about it, the magic sword in his hand had been unsheathed. His sword was much faster than the detection speed of the formation. When Yan Lingyu's sword moves hide a puppet, these puppets reacted and began to attack. In an instant, 1 against 6 became 1 against 5. Yan Lingyu's footwork was light, and he continued to use the 8 steps of water and stars. This was the footwork he learned in his previous life, but he no longer used it after entering the foundation building stage. However, he still remembered the mechanism clearly, and he could master it again with a little practice. The boy turned into stars and walked through the puppet formation. He did not use his sword many times, but the effect of each sword was great, almost paralyzing a puppet. Yan Lingyu's move was just right and would not cause any great impact on the puppet. He knew that this was a treasure of the Yan family and did not want to damage it seriously. In this trial, he did not try his best, but just switched back and forth between the yellow leaf sword and the 3 autumn sword. This was mainly because this puppet formation had the ability to adapt to the cultivation of the person undergoing the trial. Yan Lingyu was at the 7th level of key training, so he was matched with a puppet of the 7th level of key training. This was also the reason why he acted extremely relaxed. The boy spent almost no time and successfully passed the level leisurely. But even though he did not show much, he also surprised the senior management. Sword cultivator, Yan Zikang smiled. The Yan family had coveted the status of a disciple of the Kiwai Sword Pavilion for a long time, but they had waited for no swordsman before, and now one suddenly appeared. Yan Zikang had a hunch that this junior's talent in swordsmanship might exceed his imagination. At the same time, he secretly decided in his heart that this person must be included in the list. Even if the hope was slim, he had to try to see if he could enter the Kiwai Sword Pavilion. Not only the people of the Yan family were shocked, but also the senior leaders of the Hai family and Kunlun Gate changed their color and could hardly maintain their original solemn expressions. Brother Yan, this junior has a temperament like an extremely sharp sword, and his moves are also tricky and sophisticated. It is hard to imagine that he is just 16 years old. Congratulations to the Yan family for having a swordsmanship genius. Several Jinden cultivators had accurate eyes. Wang Nian saw Yan Kingsun's extraordinariness at a glance, and his tone was full of envy. If his Kunlun sect could also produce such a genius, how great it would be. On the other side, Hai Chongyang's expression was different from the former. He was more surprised. He saw the shadow of a deceased old friend in this young man. Yan Lingyu. For some reason, Hai Chongyang saw Yan Lingyu appear in front of him. The young man's demeanor and behavior were too similar. He was different from others. Not to mention Wang Nian Sen, even Yan Zikang and Yan Zink with the Yan family, they had not been in contact with Yan Lingyu for as long as Hai Chongyang. Therefore, among the people present, only the oldest person noticed the difference. Yan Lingyu, Yan Kingsun, Hai Chongyang muttered to himself. His eyes were dazed. Some things really cannot be ignored. When the Yan family was in decline, Yan Lingyu stood up and brought the Yan family to the peak of Sheonan County. Now that the Yan family is about to enter the Central Plains, another extremely talented swordsman genius has appeared, and he knows Yan Lingyu like this. What does this indicate? Will the Yan family eventually reach the pinnacle of the Dacian dynasty? Hai Chongyang's heart was filled with huge waves. Instinctively, he felt that there was something wrong with the young Yan Kingsun of the Yan family. Hai Chongyang glanced at the people around him, and then he solemnly sent a message to his granddaughter, Yumo, get closer to Yan Kingsun of the Yan family in the future. This is the first time that I, your grandfather, order you to stop being willful. In any case, this bet can be made. If Yan Kingsun is the next Yan Lingyu of the Yan family, this ancestor of the Hai family wants Hai Yumo to become the next Hai Chongyang. Continue to maintain the relationship between the two families. Let the Hai family once again take advantage of the wind and embark on a brighter road. Hai Chongyang's eyes have been on Yan Kingsun, and he has never moved away. If this matter is really confirmed by the way of heaven, then this is the best time for the Hai family to bet. Perhaps, having a deep relationship with Yan Kingsun is more important than entering the Central Plains and joining a big force. Chapter 157, Ordinary Yan Kingsun, Mysterious Breathwatery Yan Kingfei. A tall girl with a stern face walked out of the puppet formation of the Yan family. She was Hai Yumo of the Hai family. In the trial just now, she encountered a lot of trouble. Because the puppet is not a real person, the soul-related Taoist techniques passed down by the Hai family did not have much effect on it. Although Hai Yumo is proud, she is not arrogant. She also realized her shortcomings in this trial. That is, except for the attack on the soul, her other means are a little weak. If she encounters a cultivator who is not afraid of the soul moves, she will fall into disadvantage and suffer a great loss. I didn't notice this before, mainly because the Hai family did not have the big hand of the Yan family to use so many puppets to create a trial formation. Even if the Hai family has 100 ghosts in the underworld, it is still a gathering place for ghosts after all. Just as the girl was thinking deeply, a majestic voice resounded in her heart, Yumo, from now on, get closer to Yan Kingsun of the Yan family. This is the first time that Grandpa orders you, don't be willful anymore. Hai Yumo's eyebrows, which were already frowned because of the trial, squeezed together further. This was the voice transmission from her grandfather Hai Chongyang. And this was the first time that the other party spoke so harshly. Hai Yumo couldn't help but become serious. Yan Kingsun? Who is this person? The girl recalled for a while in her mind, and there was no such name. There were many outstanding disciples of the Yan family who fought with him, but this person was not among them. To make Grandpa pay so much attention, is there another master in the Yan family? He is hidden very deeply. Hayumo's eyes, like clear springs, flashed with light, and she became interested in this Yan family member named Yan Qingxuan. After many inquiries, she finally found the real owner. However, the other party's true identity reduced Hayumo's original expectations to the lowest level. It's him. She knew the young man in front of her. They had met more than a month ago, and Hayumo had asked a question at that time. It was about who was the strongest in the Yan family. At that time, she felt that this person was ordinary, just an ordinary cultivator, so she didn't pay much attention to him. And this feeling has continued until now. Hayumo still couldn't see anything special about Yan Qingxuan. This made her give up the idea of talking to him. Maybe Yan Qingxuan has some talent in immortal arts such as alchemy formations, which attracted the attention of Grandpa. Hayumo's eyes dimmed a lot, thinking so in her heart. She also respected these people with special talents, but in her heart, she still put the strength of cultivators at the highest point. You know, people with strong souls generally have amazing perception. Even she couldn't see the clues, so he must be really not very strong. So, Hayumo turned around and left. She wanted to continue to figure out what she had learned in this trial. On the other side, Yan Qingxuan had just revealed his true form from the formation, and habitually restrained his sword energy. With his ability to restrain his energy, even if ordinary foundation-building cultivators came, let alone key-training cultivators, they would not be able to tell that he was a sword cultivator. Yan Qingxuan also noticed Hayumo, who was hesitant to speak, but since the other party had left, he no longer paid attention to him. Suddenly, he felt something strange in his heart. He turned his head and looked at a Yan family attic. Indistinctly, he saw a familiar figure. It turned out to be this kid. Yan Qingxuan was familiar with Hai Chongyang in his previous life, and the two had competed and sparred many times. Although the latter had never won once, his fighting spirit was worthy of encouragement, and he fought again and again after repeated defeats. Therefore, Yan Qingxuan had a special perception of his spiritual consciousness. Did he see anything? The young man murmured to himself. A person's temperament and behavior are difficult to change. This is the case with Yan Qingxuan. Even in his previous life, his disciple Liu Yuxi almost saw the clues. Therefore, Yan Qingxuan did not feel strange about Hai Chongyang's focus. After all, the other party's cultivation, emotions, and soul abilities were there. And it was precisely because acquaintances might be able to see the reincarnation that Yan Qingxuan did not dare to return to Keishuling to meet his wife and daughter. He was worried that he would not be able to hold back his emotions and expose his identity, and he was also afraid that his wife and daughter, who lived with him day and night, would recognize him. Now he is Yan Qingxuan, not Yan Lingyu. Many things are unacceptable. Yan Qingxuan can only choose to avoid and strengthen his own strength, silently guarding the other party in secret. At the same time, he also has a glimmer of hope in his heart. Maybe one day, when his strength reaches the top of the world and he's not afraid of anyone, he can do everything he wants. Yan Qingxuan stood there. If Hayumo was still by his side at this moment, he could clearly feel the profound sword meaning. 2 days later, the puppet array trials of all the tribesmen have ended. And a new round of competitions is about to begin. This second round of competitions is a traditional one-on-one duel. It's just that originally only the Yan family participated, but now the Hai family and Kunlun sect also participated. The competition went very quickly, and soon it was Yan Qingxuan's turn. He stepped onto the ring, and his opponent was the other for Yan Qingfei. Yan Qingfei was tall and slender, and looked gentle and refined, with the atmosphere of a secular scholar. Don't worry, my fourth brother will try his best to lower your cultivation level so that you have the opportunity to cash in. Yan Qingfei smiled apologetically with a hint of guilt. Yan Qingfei is at the 8th level of key training and is about to reach the 9th level. And Yan Qingxuan is only at the 7th level of key training. So, in the eyes of the former, the winner is already determined. Fourth brother, don't be like this, I'm a little strong. Yan Qingxuan also clasped his fists and reminded him. Then, the old referee of the family gave an order, and the competition between the two officially began. Yan Qingxuan didn't say much, and raised his hand to use the three-autumn sword. He didn't use his full strength, fearing that the other party would not be able to catch it. After all, this was still the first competition, and Yan Qingfei was also a good younger disciple of the Yan family, and he shouldn't be defeated too embarrassedly. On the other side, Yan Qingfei's face was completely devoid of any apology at the moment of the fight, replaced by solemnity. He pushed forward with both hands, used a water-discharging palm, and at the same time, moved his body sideways, quickly left the original place, and fled to the side. Puff, the sharp sword energy broke the palm ripples in the air, and continued to move forward without slowing down, finally landing on the place where Yan Qingfei was standing, and cut off a piece of the stone platform there. Kendo? So strong, Yan Qingfei escaped a disaster and was shocked. Is this still his 10th brother? How can he be so strong? And he has never heard that the other party has learned swordsmanship. Compared with the former's horror, Yan Qingxun was slightly suspicious. Zhuangxi Shumianju, when Yan Qingfei made a move, he would involuntarily dissipate his spiritual energy. And this spiritual energy, Yan Qingxun was too familiar with it. It was the Zhuangxi Shumianju he learned in his previous life. This technique, given by the Zhang family of Yingzhao, has great limitations and will slow down the cultivation speed of the cultivators in the early stage. Although Yan Qingxun mastered it in his previous life, because of this, he rarely let his family members learn it, for fear that they would not be able to achieve high or low levels and waste their talents. Unexpectedly, after reincarnation, he met a younger generation who also practiced Zhuangxi Shumianju. Yan Qingfei is only 27 years old now, but he is at the 8th level of key training. It is really possible for him to practice this technique that progressed slowly in the early stage to a great success. This made Yan Qingxun want to give him some advice. Chapter 158 Guidance, Enlightenment. Looking at the young man who looked 3 points like himself, Yan Qingxun was pleasantly surprised. Because Zhuangxi Shumianju, although difficult in the early stage, will reap great benefits as long as it enters the foundation building. Therefore, he also encouraged the clansmen to practice this technique to the best of their ability. After all, he has walked this road himself, and can also guide the future generations and correct the problems and detours encountered in practice. And the appearance of Yan Qingfei is also extremely beneficial to the former. That is to distract others from Yan Qingxun. If only one person practices Zhuangxi Shumianju, it may make familiar people suspect Yan Lingyu. But if 2 people practice this technique at the same time, then Yan Qingxun can also use Hengshui Yinli freely, which can better cover up his secrets and not be so watched. Yan Qingxun thought quickly in his heart, but the expression on his face did not change much. And because of this, it put a lot of pressure on the other party. As an elder brother, Yan Qingfei suddenly realized that his clan brother was very hidden and powerful, and he might not be Yan Qingxun's opponent. Yan Qingfei smiled. This is a good thing for the Yan family. His cousin is younger than him, but he has such ability. His talent must be far superior to his, and he is also a master of kendo. The Yan family can prosper because of this. Although Yan Qingfei has a high opinion of the opponent, he does not think that he will definitely lose. And losing is really embarrassing. A few days ago, he also preached to Yan Qingxun to practice hard. Yan Qingfei stopped his body from flying backwards and shouted. Golden bubbles lit up around him and expanded rapidly, exerting a violent squeezing force on the surrounding environment. Zhuangxianshu. Yan Qingxun was a little stunned. Good guy, what a little Yan Lingyu. Zhuangxianshu was also the main means of combat for Yan Lingyu before he established his foundation. Because of the blessing of Hengshui spirit body and spirit body source, its power is extremely great, and it can attack or defend. Hai Chongyang and Lin Zixin should be the most powerful. Yan Qingxun's smile became even more intense. He knew that Yan Lingyu's image had a deep position in the hearts of the clan members, but he didn't expect it to be so. He decided to be a little more serious. From originally using only one move of the 3 autumn sword, now even the yellow leaf sword was used. With 2 condensed sword techniques, Yan Qingfei could not help but struggle. He fell into a very passive situation and could not feel the chance to turn over. Pop! After only holding on for 3 swords, the light and shadow bubbles transformed by the Zhuangxin technique burst without a burden and turned into starlight. And Yan Qingfei, who did not have the Hengshui Yinli, could not make any big waves. He thought he would lose. But he only felt that a part of his body was lightly touched by the sword energy, and the opponent did not intend to win immediately. Yan Qingfei's first reaction was shame and anger, thinking that this was his clan brother humiliating him, and he could obviously win, but he took a playful attitude. Then, he realized that something was wrong. He saw Yan Qingxun's clear eyes. Not only that, Yan Qingfei also felt the flow and change of the spiritual energy in his body. After being baptized by the sword energy, there was actually a vortex of spiritual energy in his body. He was not stupid. What did this mean? This was the Zhuan-level Taoist art that came with the Zhuangxi Shui Mianju, the spiritual body source. This was the Taoist art that he had been thinking about, but unfortunately his cultivation was not enough, and he could not comprehend it, so he could not master it. But now there is a sign. 10th brother, you, Yan Qingfei was shocked beyond words. 4th brother, continue to fight, and feel it with your heart, Yan Qingxun replied. Yan Qingxun mastered the spiritual body source when he was at the 8th level of key training, but at that time he had the guidance of the Hengshui spiritual body, so he was able to quickly become enlightened. And it is obvious that Yan Qingfei does not have a spiritual body, so he has not been able to get started with his Taoist art until now. This requires Yan Qingxun's guidance. The sword energy he released earlier was to guide the flow of true qi in the opponent's body, thereby forming the most important vortex of the spiritual body source. As long as Yan Qingfei can master the spiritual body source, the subsequent Renshu Yinlei can also be quickly mastered and improve his strength. Although Yan Qingfei didn't understand how his cousin did it, and didn't know why he knew so much about the origin of spirits, he could be sure of one thing: his cousin was teaching him. The book says that one of the three must be my teacher. Yan Qingfei never felt ashamed of being taught by his cousin. He was only very happy because he became stronger and learned new things. He didn't say much thank you, because it was meaningless. Yan Qingfei and Yan Qingxun were brothers with the same blood. Sure enough, Yan Qingxun's swordsmanship talent is extraordinary, like a demon. Indeed, I couldn't see anything from the puppets of the same realm before, but now facing the trial of real cultivators, I can immediately find out that his strength far exceeds that of the same level. In a delicate attic somewhere in the Yan family, the top leaders of the three families gathered, and an old ancestor of the late foundation building period of the High family side. Since Yan Qingxun revealed his swordsmanship talent, the attention of these top leaders to him has never decreased. Even though there were several competitions going on at the same time, including famous talents such as Hai Yumo and Yan Qingxiu, most people's attention was still on Yan Qingxun. At this moment, a slightly proud voice sounded. It was Yan Xianwang, the 5th master of the Yan family. You may not believe it, but Yan Qingxun has not even used 40% of his strength. What? So strong? You are good. 5th brother, you must have known something in advance, so you bet with me. Everyone was in an uproar and surprised. The stronger Yan Qingxun's talent in swordsmanship, the greater the probability of being selected into Kuiwei Sword Pavilion, and the more benefits it will bring to their Iron Triangle. This scene looks wrong. This is not a competition. It's more like the guidance of the elders to the younger generation. Suddenly, Hai Chongyang was surprised. Other senior executives also reacted and found that Yan Qingfei's temperament was undergoing a huge change. They did not practice Zhuangxi Shui Mianju, so they couldn't see why. But Yan Qingfei, who was present, was not like this. At this moment, he was only shocked and happy. The spiritual source that belongs to him is about to be generated. Ding! A green longsword touched Yan Qingfei's throat. This means that the winner of this competition has been decided. At the same time, this also means that Yan Qingxun's teaching has ended. Yan Qingxun wins. The referee's voice rose. The winner turned and left. Yan Qingfei, who was left on the stage with his eyes closed and breathing, refining his insights. This competition has gained a lot. At this moment, he is also inspired. He dare not give up the slightest time for comprehension, so he sat down and practiced on the spot. When the Yan family referee in the field saw this scene, his eyes also lit up with joy. He set up a ban around the former to protect him. And all the competitions on the competition stage were cancelled. Nothing is more important than a family member entering the realm of enlightenment. After a rest, Yan Qingxun met his second opponent. Yan Qinghan from Kaishiling. This is actually a female swordsman. Chapter 159 The Right Way of Swordsmanship, Yan Qinghan's Path. Yan Qinghan is 25 years old this year, and is also at the 8th level of key training. Her appearance is not gorgeous, just an ordinary pretty woman, with phoenix eyes and thin lips, and a head of black hair tied elegantly around her slender waist. It is not known whether Yan Qingxun is unlucky or lucky. In the 2 matches he fought, his opponents were all the best in the Yan family. They are all sure to be in the top 10. Yan Qinghan, Yan Qingxun, both sides announced their names and saluted. The competition began. Swish, A silver light flashed, and Yan Qinghan turned into a sword light and instantly came to Yan Qingxun's side. The attack launched by the female sword cultivator was very fast, and it was difficult for ordinary key training cultivators to react, but the latter was obviously not in this category. Ding! The crisp sound of metal clashing sounded. After all, Yan Qingxun was only at the 7th level of key training, and her hands were still numb due to the strong shock force. But the opponent was not feeling well either. The withering meaning of the yellow leaf sword had attached to Yan Qinghan, which also forced him to retreat quickly. In one round, Yan Qingxun had the upper hand. It was also during this fight that he, with his sharp eyesight, discovered the problem of the female sword cultivator's swordsmanship. Yan Qinghan reminded Yan Qingxun of a clan member. That was Yan Xingqiang, who had also appeared in the Yanhe competition. This woman also used the swordsmanship at that time, and it was a masculine sword. But Yan Qinghan was different, using a feminine sword. In fact, this was also a sword force suitable for women. And Yan Qinghan's talent in swordsmanship was also good, and her sword moves were well organized. Whether it was the posture of the move or the matching body movement, they were all done to the best. But there was a fatal problem. That was the lack of artistic conception. There was no soul in Yan Qinghan's swordsmanship, just the application of moves. He was not like a cultivator, but more like an innate warrior in the mortal world. At a glance, Yan Qingxun knew that the other party's path was crooked. And even though his path was crooked, he could still achieve something, which showed that he was indeed talented. This made Yan Qingxun want to give instructions again. And it just so happened that he wanted to try out his strongest sword, the autumn water sword. In the competition arena, Yan Qinghan raised her eyebrows, and a chill came from all directions, completely enveloping her. The whole person seemed to be trapped in an ice cellar. Not only that, the scenery in front of her seemed to have undergone a huge change. All the tribesmen in the field disappeared. Instead, there was a bleak scene of autumn wind sweeping fallen leaves. Yan Qinghan didn't know what happened and stood there in a daze. At this moment, she had an idea in her mind that this was a vision caused by Yan Qingxun's sword. The opponent's swordsmanship was far superior to hers. In front of this swordsmanship, Yan Qinghan suddenly realized that the path she had taken before was completely wrong. What is this artistic conception? Yan Xingqiang, who was paying attention to the fight between Yan Qingxun and Yan Qinghan, suddenly stood up on the chair. His eyes were completely focused on Yan Qingxun. But when he came to the Jinden realm, he had a deep understanding of the artistic conception. Jinden cultivators are tested not only on their use of evil spirits, but also on their mastery of artistic conception. Yan Xingqiang's eyes flashed with disbelief. He had heard that there were geniuses in cultivation who could master some profound artistic conception at a low level of cultivation, but Yan Qingxun's situation was obviously not just profound. The latter has expanded from depth to breadth. This can no longer be called artistic conception, but imagery is more appropriate. It seems that my judgment of Yan Qingxun has to be improved again. Yan Xingqiang sat back in his seat and whispered to himself. As for the top leaders of other forces, some did not see the problem of artistic conception, while some did. But whether they saw it or not, they were concerned about another thing. Is Yan Qingxun guiding others again? The relationship between the younger generations of the Yan family is so harmonious. Let's not talk about Yan Qingxun's comprehension talent. This alone can make people look up to him. Compared with Yan Qingxun's sword intent, the Hai family and Kunlun sect are more concerned about his actions of guiding female sword cultivators. You know, this is still a competition. Moreover, this competition is related to whether one can be selected and become a cultivator sent by the family to the Central Plains for training. This means the future. In other words, Yan Qingxun and Yan Qinghan are direct competitors at this moment. If they were not both surnamed Yan and had the same bloodline, they might have fought to the death for the opportunity. How could they have the time to guide others and improve their strength? The senior leaders saw selflessness and dedication in the Yan family. This is what a family needs most. Hai Chongyang was very envious at this moment. At the same time, he also understood why the Yan family's outstanding descendants could appear one after another. They help each other, learn from each other, and promote each other, rather than real competition. Let me ask, if all the clan members are like this, how can there not be geniuses? On the other side, I don't know how long it has been, Yan Qinghan came to her senses, but still did not wait for the attack she deserved. The image dissipated, and she only saw her cousin Yan Qingxun, holding a sword in one hand, standing in the distance. Where is your way? This sentence was asked by Yan Qingxuan. And the girl who was asked fell into thinking again. There are not many sword cultivators in the Yan family, and the most accomplished one is Yan Xingqiang, but it is a pity that she died young and died in the call to Hengshui sect. This also led to the interruption of the sword art inheritance of the Yan family, that is, the Qishiling lineage, and there was no one to guide the younger generation. This is also the reason why Yan Qinghan did not know the importance of artistic conception. Her swordsmanship was all learned bit by herself. But now Yan Qingxuan opened the door to the sword art for her, which made her feel like she had been enlightened and instantly understood. The artistic conception of sword cultivation is also related to the direction of its progress, which is why Yan Qingxuan asked so. My way, the gentle girl murmured to herself. At this moment, two figures flashed in her mind. One of them was Yan Xingqiang, and this memory was very vague because she was still young at the time. She only remembered the resolute back of her great-grandmother when she left. Later, she learned that the mission she carried out that time was almost a situation where she was sure to die. At that time, there were many candidates in the Yan family, but Yan Xingqiang stood up against the crowd and went alone. Therefore, that back figure has always been imprinted in Yan Qinghan's heart, which is also the reason why she practiced sword. The other person is Yan Lingyu, the ancestor of the Yan family who really carried a generation. Unfortunately, when Yan Qinghan was born, the former was gone, but his deeds and portraits have been talked about and observed by the clansmen. And the fate of this ancestor of the Yan family was eventually the same as Yan Xingqiang. Then, Yan Qinghan thought of a deed that all the members of the Yan family would remember, that is, the heroic self-explosion of Yan Jilian, Yan Jikun and others in the Yan family during the battle between Yan and Zhang. Why are they willing to risk their lives to do things that are of little benefit to themselves? Maybe it's love. Love the family and the clansmen. The young Yan Qinghan also wants to be like them. This is the belief she has had since she was a child. This is also the path she is taking now. For a while, Yan Qinghan's temperament changed dramatically. Her eyes shone with light, and she said in a glorious voice, "Brother Qingxuan, please accompany me to test the sword." Yan Qingxuan didn't know what the girl had realized. He just drew his sword. He felt relieved when the other party was led back on the right track. Chapter 160 Qingxuan's Power and People's Discussions. Yan Qingxuan, Zuyu, swish, on the competition stage, a brilliant and desolate sword light cut through the sky, followed by a small body, which was thrown out under the violent shock. The competition between Yan Qingxuan and Yan Qinghan had ended in the morning. This was the former's third competition today. The opponent was an inner disciple from Kunlun sect, 28 years old, and in the 8th level of key training. Yan Qingxuan had nothing to say about this person, so he directly defeated him with a sword and tried the Qishu sword by the way. It was a pity that the opponent's strength was average, and nothing could be seen, and there was no value in practicing swords. After fighting Yan Qingfei and Yan Qinghan, two members of the Yan family, Yan Qingxuan's opponents in the next two games were people from the Hai family and Kunlun sect respectively. These last two competitions reflected Yan Qingxuan's strength. You should know that Zuyu was also a person who passed 3 levels in a row, but he could not survive a round in the hands of the former. And in the next 2 days, Yan Qingxuan will not have any competitions. The family competition is a double elimination system, that is, each member of the family has 1 game to try and fail. In the loser group, Yan Qingfei and Yan Qinghan both performed well. After fighting with Yan Qingxuan, their strengths have changed. Yan Qingfei has obviously mastered the origin of the spirit body, and even the prototype of Hengshui Yinli has been revealed. Yan Qinghan is full of sword energy and has realized her own way of swordsmanship. Her sword intention is a solid mountain. At the same time, the two of them also continue the inheritance given to them by Yan Qingxuan. They also instruct the younger generation in battle, promote the growth of the clan members, and drive a wave of mutual learning and guidance. This makes the Yan family leaders very pleased. In addition to these clan members who fell into the loser group, there are naturally young talents who have won all the way. Yan Qingxuan, Yan Qingfeng, Yan Qingqiu, Yan Qingxiu, Yan Qingheng, Hai Honghua, Hai Yumo, Zhang Zhang, etc. Some have been famous for a long time and are well known in the entire 6 southern counties. There are also new talents who suddenly emerged in this competition. Compared with others, the name Yan Qingxuan seems a bit abrupt. Because he is just 17 years old, and his cultivation is the lowest among this group of people, key training level 7, and even a certain distance from key training level 8. Yan Qingfeng and others are all 25 years old and above key training level 9. Even Hayumo is 23 years old this year and has just broken through to key training level 9. They are like a team. Compared with them, Yan Qingxun is like a baby who has just learned to walk. This also makes these brothers and sisters take Yan Qingxun seriously. For these geniuses, fighting with other geniuses is also a festive thing. But during the competition, everyone was distracted by their own competition stage and needed to devote themselves to the battle. They did not pay attention to him. Many people only knew that he was a swordsman with extremely high attainments in swordsmanship. Therefore, if you want to know the information about Yan Qingxun, you have to find the clansmen who fought with him at the beginning. Among them are Yan Qingfei and Yan Qinghun. At nightfall, all trials stopped and everyone rested. In the dense forest on the back mountain of the Yan family, Yan Qingmin, Yan Qingfeng, and Yan Qingfei sat side by side on a huge tree. Except for Yan Qingmin, who unfortunately met Hayumo, and Yan Qinghun, a female swordsman whose strength increased dramatically, the other two have advanced to tomorrow's competition. The three pairs of the Yan family were talking and laughing. The topic unknowingly came to Yan Qingxun. Qingfei, is the 10th brother really that strong? Yan Qingfeng put away his smile and asked solemnly. He asked this question because his next opponent was the dark horse of the Yan family, Yan Qingxun. He couldn't help but pay attention to this matter. Of course, Yan Qingfeng didn't want to inquire about the other party's intelligence at this time. This would be unfair to his cousin. On the other side, Yan Qingmin, who had finished the trial, also pricked up his ears. He had heard that Yan Qingfei, who was originally on par with him, seemed to have gained enlightenment after fighting with Yan Qingxun, and his strength improved by leaps and bounds, and he was able to get out of the loser group in one fell swoop. Looking at the eyes of the two brothers, Yan Qingfei smiled mysteriously and said, "Very strong. I think the 10th brother should be the strongest in this competition." Very strong. I think Yan Qingxun should be the strongest in this competition. At the same time, a similar voice was heard in a guest house of the Yan family. The person who said it was Yan Qinghun. There were also a group of Yan family members around the woman, including Yan Qingxiu and Yan Qinghen. This, Yan Qingxiu, who looked very resolute, was a little stunned. He knew very well the character of his sister, how unruly she was. To make her say such words, it can be seen how powerful this brother of the same clan named Yan Qingxun was. Ninth sister, can you tell me in detail, not the other party's means, but why he is so strong? Yan Qingheng asked. Faced with the inquiry of the clan members, Yan Qingheng did not answer immediately. Figures kept flashing in her mind. Then, the girl stood up and said with a bright look in her eyes, "He is better than us in terms of pattern. We are more than 1 or 2 levels behind him, maybe. Our eyes are still on the present, but the vision of Yan Qingxun's brother has already looked far into the future. This kind of thing is hard to explain. You haven't faced it in person, so you can't imagine the other party's courage and depth at all. Two brothers, come on, don't lose to the Hai family and Kunlun Gate, and strive to stand in front of him. I think this will also be of great help to your future. Then, let's follow his footsteps together and fight for the family to the end." Yan Qinghen's words fell. What remained in the hearts of Yan Qingxiu and Yan Qingheng was only incomparable shock. Different from the two branches of the Yan family was Hayumo of the Hai family. There were also people from the Hai family who fought with Yan Qingxun. But what they faced was another Yan Qingxun. You said that person is like a bottomless abyss, and you don't know what his background is. You just feel powerless to face him. But he lost her courage with just one sword. Hayumo frowned and asked the clansmen in front of him. 17th Ant, you must be careful. This Yan Qingxun is very strong, you must defeat him. As long as you do so, it can prove that our Hai family is not inferior to the Yan family. In the eyes of the people in Sheonan County, the Yan family always suppresses the Hai family. Although the top leaders of the Hai family don't care about these rumors, the young and energetic descendants of the Hai family can't tolerate any sand in their eyes. The new generation of the Hai family, led by Hayumo, vowed to prove it for the Hai family. Yan Qingxun is such a person, Hayumo muttered to herself. The description of the clansman is difficult to combine with the image of the other party in her impression. But she doesn't care about these anymore. She doesn't think she will lose. Previously, when she competed with Yan Qingxiu, the strongest of the Yan family, she only used 60% of her strength to gain the upper hand. Hayumo is still extremely confident in her own strength. Who cares what Qingzhuan is? He is the stepping stone for the rise of our high family. Chapter 161 Yan Qingfeng's Flame, Yan Qingxun's Technique. One day passed, and the Yan family competition continued. Yan Qingxun also took the stage again. His opponent was Yan Qingfeng, the second youngest of the Yangzhou lineage. Unlike his elder brother Yan Qingxuan, who was not on the family for many years, Yan Qingfeng had almost never traveled far. Not only was he very strong, he almost always won the first place in the family competition, and he also took care of the younger generations of the family. Yan Qingxun had received guidance from the other party before he recovered his memory. After the mutual greetings, the competition officially began. Yan Qingfeng was a spiritual root with a fire attribute. Since the Yan family has grown and developed, the qualifications of the Yan family members have also shown diversified development, especially the spiritual root attribute. Because of many marriages, the Yan family is no longer only water and wood spiritual roots, but is mainly water and wood, with other supplementary development. In the nearly 100-year history of the Yan family, there have also been members with gold, fire and earth spiritual roots and high cultivation. And Yan Qingfeng is one of the best. Perhaps it was Yan Qingfei's reminder that the former did not look down on Yan Qingxun as a younger brother who needed to be taken care of. Instead, he went all out and tried to exert his strongest strength. Yan Qingfeng wanted to see how far this little brother in his eyes had grown. Boom! A burst of air sounded, and a raging fire ignited around Yan Qingfeng, almost covering 1/3 of the competition platform. He practiced a top-level technique called the Six Mysterious Heavenly Flame Technique. This was brought to the Yan family from the Xiaonan County Lord's Mansion. Its quality is guaranteed. Even to a certain extent, it is not inferior to the mysterious water sponge technique practiced by Yan Qingxun. The better thing about the Six Mysterious Heavenly Flame Technique is that it has a corresponding supporting Taoist technique for the key training period, namely the Burning Fire in Heaven Technique. The general yellow-level Fire Taoist technique only releases a fireball, firebomb, and firewall. But the Burning Fire in Heaven technique can build a sea of fire, which shows that its power is almost at the level of the mysterious level Taoist technique, which also makes Yan Qingfeng's strength far beyond that of the same level cultivators. Soon, the fire spread along the competition stage to the front of Yan Qingxun. The latter stood up, swung the sword with one hand, and the sword shadow flashed, splitting the fire curtain, and the water vapor flowing on the sword could also extinguish the fire. This is Yan Qingxun's Hengshui sword. He condensed 3 sword moves through the 3 sword techniques, namely Sankyu, Zhenshu, and Huangai. Among them, Zhenshu sword is the most convenient for him to use, and it is also the longest practice and the most powerful. However, although this sword has the effect of isolating the initial offensive, Yan Qingfeng's next attack did not stop. He does not have too many fancy moves, but simply controls the sea of fire to engulf the opponent. In the sea of fire, the sword shadows flash continuously, and the figures changed intertwined, and they would not be surrounded by flames at all. For a time, the two sides fell into a stalemate. The sword cultivators are the first in killing. When fighting at the same level, even if the strength and cultivation of both sides are not much different, they can rely on the swift sword momentum to quickly end a battle with a crushing posture. This is also the reason why Zhu Yu was defeated in one round. But sword cultivators are not invincible. When they encounter such a large-scale attack, they will also fall into passive position. Moreover, Yan Qingfeng is not an unknown person. He is also a genius of the Yan family, and even the first person below the foundation building stage in the Yangzhou lineage. In Yan Qingxun's view, Yan Qingfeng's current strength is no less than Qin Hainer's in the past. At the beginning, the couple fought for a month, and the gap between time and space, and the means and strength between the two were almost known to each other. And Yan Qingfeng's ability to reach this height is also extraordinary. Qin Hainer is a little princess, who can obtain unlimited resources from the princess's mansion. It is difficult for the Yan family to do this, and they need to take care of other clansmen. Moreover, Yan Qingfeng has no problem in practicing the 6 mysterious heavenly flame art. Or Yan Qingxun can't see it. After all, he is not omnipotent, and he can't know everything. He will also have his own shortcomings in cognition. It is not that simple to point out the other party. But is Yan Qingfeng really perfect? Not entirely. In Yan Qingxun's eyes, the juniors are still juniors after all. The other party lacks combat experience and is not proficient in the use of Taoism. This is a common problem that Yan Qingsun has found in the Yan family members after observing the competitions in the past few days. Because of the strength of the family, no one dares to cause trouble. Even some casual cultivators will surrender and run away when they hear the word Yan family. Although these are good things, they also reduce the chances of life and death battles for the Yan family. Monsters are monsters after all. Compared with human cultivators, there is a huge difference in the way they fight. At this moment, Yan Qingfeng has powerful strength but does not know how to use it. For example, in the current competition. Obviously, the former completely suppressed Yan Qingsun in the situation, but he could not determine the victory. Why is this? A big reason is that Yan Qingfeng's flames even blocked his own perception. The spiritual consciousness of the key training cultivator is shallow, and the flames block the perception. As long as Yan Qingsun drills into the sea of fire, Yan Qingfeng will lose the trace of his brother and become at a loss, not knowing what to do next. Kigan Sword Cultivator, as long as I keep a distance from him, you can't do anything to me. Although the situation will be deadlocked, I have a higher cultivation level after all. I will be the winner in the end of the competition. 10th brother, how will you deal with this situation? Yan Qingfeng's thoughts have not yet ended, and a sword energy that breaks through the flames suddenly appeared in front of him. He was so shocked that he quickly turned sideways and almost didn't dodge. Before he could come to his senses, the next pale yellow sword energy attacked again. The only thing in Yan Qingsun's hand that has long-range killing ability is the yellow leaf sword. The reason why he was able to fight back has to be heard of a Taoist technique in his previous life. This Taoist technique is called Hidden Flow Spirit Finger. At the beginning, he liked to hide this spiritual finger in the rising tide of Hengshui Yinlei. The accumulation and flow of the spiritual finger were completely controlled by Yan Qingsun. Now, just replace Hengshui Yinlei with a sea of fire and replace the hidden flow spirit finger with a yellow leaf sword. The essence of the two is the same. His opponent, Yan Qingfeng, lacked this kind of precise attack method that was deep behind the scenes. This point needs to be honed in constant battles before it can be used to its full potential. Yan Qingsun's method of using other people's Taoist techniques to counterattack made everyone who was paying attention to this competition brighten up, and they exclaimed that it could actually be done this way. And the one who had the deepest understanding in his heart was Yan Qingfeng. He had already understood Yan Qingsun's approach and deep meaning. At this moment, he couldn't remove the fire. After all, this was his main means of attack. If he eliminated the burning fire technique, it would be equivalent to cutting off his arms. Yan Qingfeng also tried to fight back. He also used low-level Taoist techniques, such as flame guns, to use the fire to break Yan Qingsun's moves. But it was difficult to do. Because he couldn't be meticulous, either the flame affected the attack, or the attack affected the burning fire technique. The two could not reach a balance point. This requires years of experience accumulation. However, now that they are fighting, how can these experiences be suddenly given? What is this? Suddenly, Yan Qingfeng's eyes lit up, and he saw a sword light in the sea of fire. The sword light was like a snake, moving left and right in the flames, but it did not attack. Yan Qingfeng understood that this was his brother, passing on his experience. No matter why the other party had such a skilled technique, he would learn it first. Chapter 162, Strength and Honor. In the Yan family's spring pavilion, the focus of the battle between Yan Qingsun and Yan Qingfeng naturally attracted the attention of many high-level people from the three parties. Especially Yan Xingkang, the giant and cultivator of the Yan family. At this moment, after looking at Yan Qingsun's figure like a swimming dragon, even the pillar of the family couldn't help but exclaim, "Qingsun's fighting skills are natural, as if he was born with it, and he grasps all kinds of opportunities just right." It's really hard to imagine that this is a junior who is just 17 years old. Compared with his maturity, Qingfeng seems a little immature, or, except for Yan Qingsun, other new members of the family can't do this. Gradually, Yan Xingkang, who looked at the overall situation, also realized that his family members lack training. Now the family has only one external enemy, which is the huge Hengshui sect, but because the opponent is powerful, the Yan family cannot fight with it, and even for a long time in the future, this situation will not show signs of improvement, and the Yan family can only develop on their own. In this situation, although the fighting spirit of the clan members is high, they lack the direction to move forward and the motivation. No matter how hard they try, they are still not the opponent of Hengshui sect. Their momentum is one shot, then weak, and finally exhausted. In addition, The Yan family has a transcendent status in Cheonan County, and the Yan family members rarely encounter hardships. Over time, the combat quality of the new generation of the Yan family has declined. They have a high-level technique but don't know how to use it. Just like Yan Qingfeng in front of him. Forgot to develop their own Taoism. The Yan family was not like this before. At that time, the Yan family was poor, with few skills in spiritual objects, so any Taoism they mastered was extremely rare, and they tried their best to expand it in order to improve their strength. But fortunately, it is not too late to discover it now, and these drawbacks caused by the expansion of the family can be corrected in time. Yan Zikang has already emerged in his mind with a series of family policies to spur the clan members. At the same time, he has amazing eyesight and can see the battle situation between Yan Qingsun and Yan Qingfen. The former has escaped from the predicament and gained the upper hand. He can even guide Yan Qingfeng and help him improve the use of Taoism, Qi and other methods in battle. Yan Zikan took out the recording bead and recorded this competition so that he could show it to the younger generation of the clan in the future. Sometimes, the teachings of these high-level cultivators may not be as effective as the personal demonstrations of low-level cultivators. Good boy, you hit my high family members with heavy punches, and you hit the Yan family members with light rain. You are patient and persuasive, right? What about the three-family alliance? Can't you guide the younger generation of my high family? Hai Chongyang's strength is still slightly higher than Yan Zinkang. He also saw Yan Qingsun's intention to teach combat techniques, so he said angrily. His tone contained a strong sense of envy. The Kunlun sect's supreme elder sitting next to him also had the same expression. The new generation of the Yan family is developing in a good direction as a whole because of one person. These giant cultivators were not only concerned about the various skills Yan Qingsun displayed, they also paid attention to his swordsmanship itself. They found that no matter how gorgeous the sword moves Yan Qingsun had used so far, the essence was actually just 4 swords. This meant that Yan Qingsun defeated all his opponents with only 4 moves. This made Hai Chongyang and the others a little unbelievable. And when they felt it with all their heart and soul, they could sense the different artistic conceptions on Yan Qingsun's swords, even though they were a few miles apart. The artistic conceptions of these 4 swordsmanships are different. I think they come from different swordsmanships, and they are all the most wonderful ones in swordsmanship. A cultivator who knew a little about swordsmanship said so. Especially this sword with a lingering autumn feeling, the power is extremely exaggerated. Not to mention anything else, the lethality alone is almost equivalent to the Zhuan-level Taoist arts. I don't know how he practiced it, this is a genius, several high-level people discussed. Yan Zian Wang, who knew everything, couldn't stop smiling. It can only be said that Yan Qingsun's talent is more exaggerated than others imagined. Of course, at this moment, he could only hold back and not say anything. After all, this is the genius of the Yan family, and some confidentiality should be maintained. Yan Zianwang secretly sent a message to Yan Zinkang. The latter was shocked. On the other side, outside the competition stage. As the family competition entered the final stage, the number of competitions decreased, and everyone could finally watch the competition between these geniuses. Among them, behind Yan Qingsun was his family in this life. Yan Rudong and his wife and sister Yan Qingjin were all here. At this time, they looked extremely excited. Limited by their eyesight, in fact, they did not see the strength of Yan Qingsun. But being able to suppress Yan Qingfeng, the strongest person in the Yan family, meant that Yan Qingsun had replaced the first person. I didn't expect that our son has grown to this point, brother, Yan's mother said with relief. There were tears in her eyes. Yan Rudong beside him straightened his back, looked calm, and was proud of his child. Because of his poor talent, he could not serve the family, and Yan Rudong felt guilty towards the family. But now things have changed. His son has outstanding qualifications and can replace him to contribute to the family. For every member of the Yan family, it is a great honor to be able to help the family. As Yan Qingsun's talent and strength became more and more exaggerated, his father and mother were also praised by other members of the family. Rudong, I didn't expect you to have such a talent for teaching children, my dear brother. My son just turned 12, and I will give him to you. You can help take care of him for a few days. What do you think? Look at Qingsun, and then look at you. You only know how to play every day. I almost get angry to death with you. There were constant voices around, and Yan Rudong felt honored and happy. Those who watched the Yan family competition were not only the Yan family's own family, but also the disciples of the Hai family and Kunlun Gate. Hai Yumo, Zhang Zhang, Yan Qingxiu and others who did not compete now were among them, and they all looked a little solemn. Now, after witnessing Yan Qingxiu's battle with their own eyes, they finally realized how powerful the opponent was. Not to mention the treacherous body movements, just those few powerful sword moves made them feel endless pressure. Yan Qingxiu unconsciously remembered the words of his sister Yan Qinghan, and became more serious. These cultivators of the same level have already placed Yan Qingxiu on the same level as him. And Ha Yumo's eyes twitched, and for the first time she doubted whether she could win. The overwhelming sword energy looked very tricky no matter how you looked at it. Then, the girl's eyes were determined again, and her frown relaxed. She would not lose. She still had to prove it for the Hai family. Moreover, her soul attack was invisible and intangible. In the same level competition, the soul attack often achieved unexpected results. Although Yan Qingxiu might be a strong swordsman, his soul was fragile. In the world, even if there is a perfect person? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163 Meeting Yan Xingkang and wanting to return to worship. The daytime competition was over. As expected, Yan Qingxiu defeated his brother Yan Qingfang with the autumn water sword and won the victory. The latter left the competition platform with a lot of harvest and various epiphanies. There was no double elimination system in the second stage of the competition. As the sky gradually darkened, the clansmen went back to rest or continued to improve their official duties. Deep in Anyan Villa, in a not-so-grand courtyard, there was a tall middle-aged man in the main room. He was Yan Xingkang, one of the two giant cultivators of the Yan family. He is also the real ruler of the Yan family now. At this moment, he put away an envelope, on which was the clan member he selected to be sent to the Central Plains. Although the competition has not ended yet, the performance of the clan members has been fully revealed. After all, there are 9 places, and it is not necessary to compete for the first, second and third place, so the selection of candidates is still relatively easy to decide. Yan Xingkang came back to his senses, his expression a little solemn. It is indeed tiring to carry the family on his shoulders. The stagnation of his cultivation was also caused by his hard work for the family. He glanced at the portraits on the wall in the distance. Now, the only person who could hang portraits all over the Yan family was Yan Lingyu. Even Yan Ping, the founder of the Yan family, did not have such treatment. Yan Xingkang sighed, "Uncle Jiu, your expectations will soon be fulfilled by our Yan family." In fact, when Yan Lingyu was alive, he had already expressed the idea of entering the Central Plains, but he had to put it aside due to the situation at the time. With his death, this idea became a legacy. It was Yan Xingkang's turn to shoulder this important task. Knock knock knock. At this time, there was a knock on the door outside the house. "Come in," the steady voice fell, and with a creak, a young figure pushed the door open. The person who came was Yan Qingxiu, the sword genius of the Yan family who had just defeated Yan Qingfang. The latter looked at the old man of the Yan family in front of him and sighed. In his previous life, Yan Xingkang was still a high-spirited and ambitious young man, but now only vicissitudes and stability are left. Time is really terrifying. Clan elder, Yan Qingxiu bowed respectfully. At the same time, he felt a strange feeling rising from his whole body. But this feeling came quickly and went away quickly. Yan Qingxiu, who had already experienced a lot, soon understood where this strange feeling came from. It should be a formation that can detect whether the cultivator has been possessed by others. Indeed, the strength shown by Yan Qingxiu now is completely different from before. Reincarnation is still unbelievable, but possession often happens in this world. The Yan family must find a way to rule out this situation. Especially after the incident of the demon cultivator and Hengshui sect, the Yan family spent a large amount of spirit stones to purchase a whole set of this detection formation. Generally, cultivators below the Jinden level can detect the abnormality of the other party. And now that the Yan family has grown stronger, the devices and spiritual objects it can get are not comparable to the original. The Yan family has to be so cautious. Yan Qingxiu can also understand this. "Qingxiu, sit down." After a breath, Yan Xingkang smiled kindly and said softly, At the same time, he also looked at the young man in front of him. For some reason, he felt a sense of familiarity with the latter, as if he had seen him somewhere before. You know, this is the first time Yan Xingkang has met Yan Qingxuan. After all, the former's main range of activities is still in the Xiaonan County area. Yan Qingxuan sat on a wooden chair without thinking. Maybe other tribesmen would be timid because of meeting the elders of the tribe, but he had no worries in this regard. He sat down directly and waited for the other party's next words naturally. Seeing this, Yan Xingkang showed a trace of approval. When a family is large, it is inevitable that the younger generation will be submissive in front of the elders. Respect but not servility can reflect the character of a tribe member. So, he said what he had in his heart. It was also at this time that Yan Qingxuan knew that the great world had come and the 100 sects had opened their doors. He was also thinking about it in his heart. Yan Xingkang continued, the conditions for accepting disciples in the Kiwai Sword Pavilion in the Central Plains are harsh, but as long as you enter, you can get protection. It is the best backer of the Yan family now. Because in the Yan family, your sword talent is the most outstanding. The Sui family hopes that you can do your best to enter the Sword Pavilion and seek better development for the family and yourself. Qingxuan, what do you think? Yan Qingxuan pondered for a while, nodded and said, the Yan family members should contribute to the family. Okay, Yan Xingkang continued, this matter is of great importance and cannot be sloppy. The family will also support you behind the scenes. Now the family's top management has voted to make you the family's key training target. Do you need anything in your cultivation? With the current family's foundation, we will try our best to get it for you. Yan Qingxuan thought about it, and said directly without hesitation, I need all kinds of swordsmanship, the higher the grade, the better. I want to gather the strengths of hundreds of schools, find my own swordsmanship, and create my own swordsmanship. Yan Xingkang's eyes were full of praise when he heard this. When he reached the Jinden stage, he realized the importance of creating his own skills. Because high-level spiritual objects are almost all in the hands of the top forces, it is difficult to get rid of the restrictions imposed on you by others if you do not have the ability to create them. Then, Yan Qingxuan said, I want to go back to my clan to worship before going to the Central Plains. I want to see the deeds of the ancestors of the Yan family and keep the family in mind. This idea is indeed from his heart. Yan Qingxuan wants to meet his old friends and see who in the Ling generation of the clan is still alive today. By the way, take this opportunity to see the development of the Yan family and see his wife and children from afar. These words moved Yan Xingkang a little. He did not expect that the Yan family had such a solemn position in Yan Qingxuan's heart. At the same time, he also understood the demands of the clansmen from all sides, and would invite the clansmen who stayed in other places to return to their home to worship their ancestors in due course. Excuse me, Junior. Suddenly, Yan Qingxuan changed the subject and said, Qingxuan also wants to know the family's plans and various policies. Only by understanding these can we be more confident and better cooperate with the family to take root in the Central Plains. Yan Qingxuan is only in the key training stage now, and it is reasonable that he cannot go deep into the family's high-level affairs. But if he really didn't know, Yan Qingxuan himself would be worried, so he made this request. He understood that the Yan family must have two preparations for entering the Central Plains this time. One is that the clan members will enter the big forces and find support, so that the Yan family can naturally stay in the Central Plains and take root. Another preparation is what the Yan family should do at this time if no clan member is valued by the big forces. Of course, it is impossible to go back home. The Yan family spent such a huge price to send a large number of clan members to the Central Plains, and they must leave some marks on that land. What Yan Qingxuan really wants to know is how to deal with it after failure. Because at this time, the Yan family must have to get rid of the Hai family and Kunlun Gate, and seek development on their own, so the other two families will not know about this plan at all, and the Yan family will not announce it to the outside world. Yan Qingxuan's words once again surprised Yan Xingkang. He found that the young man in front of him had a maturity and foresight far beyond his peers. Chapter 164, Hai Chongyang's Quest, Regaining the Qingming Sword. Coming out of Yan Xingkang's temporary residence, Yan Qingxuan already understood the situation of the Yan family. The Yan family was determined to take over the Central Plains this time. It can almost be said that they had put 70% of their assets on the line, and they could only succeed and not fail. And he also knew that if no one in the Yan family was favored by the big sects, the Yan family's solution would be to be a thug for others. To be in a place close to the capital of Dacian, these forces need a bright and beautiful appearance, but the world always has a dirty side, and many dark things cannot dirty the hands of the master, so they can only send some forces that are not on the light to deal with them. Most of these things are murder and robbery, full of dangers. Once exposed, they will be subjected to endless revenge. At this time, the people above will not protect you, but can't wait to kick you away. It can be imagined that if the Yan family does this kind of business, how tragic the damage to the entire family will become. Even if they wash their hands and gain a firm foothold at that time, they will be seriously injured. The only good news is that this way comes from the Dacian military, and it was provided by Yan Yinglian from the Yan family. Yan Yinglian is Yan Lingyu's 10th uncle and the son of Yan Jichuan. In the bet with Yan he showed an amazing talent for killing. After entering the foundation building stage, he even survived to the position of 1,000 men, and he is also considered a figure. The way he gave would not consume too much of the Yan family. Therefore, the Yan family's entry into the Central Plains is generally a done deal. This is also the Yan family's consistent style. Unless it is guaranteed to achieve the goal, it will not launch an action with a large force. Yan Qingxun was on the way back to his residence. In fact, he himself did not want to enter Kiwai's sword pavilion. Because he has a natural sword body, the natural sword body is his best teacher. As long as he is given enough time, his swordsmanship can grow infinitely and without end. On the contrary, Yan Qingxun may cause trouble after entering Kiwai's sword pavilion. After all, his spiritual body is too heaven-defying. It is easy to attract people's covetousness. It's okay in ordinary sects, without high-level sword cultivators, so it may not be able to see any clues. But if you mix with a group of talented sword cultivators, it is very likely that one day your trump card will be exposed. This is something Yan Qingxun must avoid. And he agreed to this because Kiwai Sword Pavilion is indeed the best choice and the best backer of the Yan family. And Yan Qingxun can only reduce the frequency of using the natural sword body and reduce his growth arc at that time, and he can pass the test smoothly. Thinking constantly in his heart, the boy's footsteps did not stop, and the rustling sound of the breeze blowing through the trees was in his ears. Unlike the bustle during the day, the Yan family is still mainly quiet at night. Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded in Yan Qingxun's heart. "Qingxun, my old man is Hai Chonggang. Are you willing to chat with me?" The boy's expression was a little weird. He didn't expect that at this time. Hai Chonggang suddenly appeared and wanted to chat with him. At the same time, Yan Qingxun's heart became cautious, worried that the other party would see his reincarnation identity. There are many brothers who have turned against each other because of chance. Moreover, this chance is reincarnation. Yan Qingxun and Hai Chonggang are not brothers. Fortunately, this is the Yan family. If he goes to find Hai Chonggang, other people of the foundation building and gold and elixir clans will also know. And it may not be a matter of seeing the identity, it is more likely because of Hai Chonggang's granddaughter. Yan Qingxun's mind flashed, and then he followed the other party's guidance with a calm expression and came to a slightly exquisite small attic. The residence that the Yan family gave to the Hai family is indeed good. After entering the door, Yan Qingxun clasped his fists and saluted. "Junior Yan Qingxun, meet Senior Hai." Hai Chonggang hummed faintly. His stature is half a head taller than Yan Qingxun, who is still growing. He looked down but said with a smile on his face, "Friend Qingxun, has anyone said that you look like the ancestor Yan Lingyu of the Yan family?" This made Yan Qingxun startled, thinking to himself, "Can this cultivator really see anything? It is probably a test." Even Liu Yuxi couldn't guess the identity at first, and he really didn't believe that Hai Chonggang could find out that Yan Qingxun was the reincarnation of Yan Lingyu with just one glance. Yan Qingxun showed a respectful expression. "Ancestor Yan Lingyu is the goal pursued by the younger generation. Thank you for the praise from Senior Hai. The younger generation must not forget the original intention and strive to become the next ancestor Yan Lingyu." The young man felt that what he said should be flawless. Unexpectedly, these made Hai Chonggang feel touched. "Brother Yan, I really want you to see the style of the Yan family now, and the spirit of your people. How much your people love you. I believe that the Yan family will continue to be strong, and I am here to take care of you. I hope you can rest in peace." There was a strong emotion in his words. When he spoke, he almost cried, as if the person in heaven was not his friend, but his real father. Maybe Hai Chonggang said this from the heart, but Yan Qingxun felt weird. Fortunately, He also confirmed that the other party did not know his identity. Hai Chongyang's expression softened a bit. He sighed and said again, Kingsun, actually I came to you this time to ask for something. Yan Kingsun roughly knew what it was and waited for the other party to continue. I have a granddaughter named Hai Yumo. This girl is indeed quite capable, but she has a perverse personality and won't listen to others. Only if she suffers a setback, she will change. There was an old friend Lin Zixin who was also led back to the right track by your ancestor Yan Lingyu in this way, so I hope you can teach my granddaughter a lesson and let her know that there are people who are better than you and there are heavens beyond you. Of course, if you can give some pointers, that would be great. After all, you are of the same age and it is easier for you to communicate with each other. Hai Chongyang spoke in a rhythmic manner. He did not have the condescending attitude of a giant and ancestor, but seemed approachable. Yan Kingsun, who was standing aside, was also in a trance when he saw his best friend in such a state. He didn't expect that Hai Chongyang, who used to think highly of himself, would one day put aside his inner arrogance and seek a junior. Although there are many things involved. Every word Hai Chongyang said to Yan Kingsun this time had its deep meaning. It was hard for the Hai family's ancestor to do everything by himself. Junior will do his best, Yan Kingsun said solemnly. He saw that this old friend almost bet the entire Hai family on his reincarnation. Hai Chongyang was obviously relieved after receiving a positive answer. Then, he took out a storage bag from his sleeve, which turned out to be a set of swords. This Sanlian Kingming sword and the Mingli sword sheath were used by your ancestor Yan Lingyu. They are just a commemorative item in my hands. I just handed them over to you. I hope you can show their glory in the past, good guy. This was the first time Yan Kingsun showed a look of surprise. In the Battle of Langai's secret realm, Yan Lingyu knew that he would die, and he had planned to be swallowed by the snake, so before that, he handed the more valuable things to Yan Jichuan. In order to prevent the Hengshui sect from searching his soul and causing suspicion, he also specifically said that these were sundries. But spiritual tools including the Sanlian Kingming sword were all put into storage bags, and the storage bags were placed inside storage bags. The purpose of doing this is naturally to be able to use them after reincarnation. Originally, Yan Kingsun wanted to go back to the clan this time to see if he could get these spiritual tools back. Unexpectedly, they ended up in Hai Chongyang's hands. The key is that the other party handed this thing over to him after 130 years. Is it really that mysterious? Chapter 165, Yan Family's Allies, The Final Battle. At this moment, Yan Kingsun had completely understood all of Hai Chongyang's thoughts on inviting him to meet. Hai Chongyang mentioned Yan Lingyu to Yan Kingsun at the beginning, with the purpose of bringing the two sides closer. Of course, he knew that the Yan family respected the latter. As long as he showed that he was on good terms with Yan Lingyu, he would naturally win the favor of the Yan family. And only in this way, some of his requests, whether openly or secretly, would be easily accepted. Not only that, as long as he could win the favor of Yan Kingsun, the other party would also have a good impression of the Hai family as a group in a subtle way. This would make it easier for Yan Kingsun to help Hai Yumo. Moreover, between the lines of Hai Chongyang's words, it was hard not to see the other party's intention to sell out his granddaughter. The other party was just short of saying openly that my granddaughter was good and very suitable to be your Yan Kingsun's wife. Hai Chongyang put all his treasures on Yan Kingsun, and he valued the latter very much, comparing Yan Kingsun to Yan Lingyu. It is hard to imagine that the silly boy who had shut himself up and bravely entered the underworld when he was slightly stimulated would have such scheming and thinking now. Watching Hai Chongyang grow up, Yan Kingsun felt the joy of his dazed eldest son and his old father who suddenly became enlightened. In fact, the Hai family needs the Yan family to continue to develop, so why doesn't the Yan family need such a powerful helper? Like the Lu family and the Bai family, these two families are just the purest vassals. They help, but not much, and the monkeys scatter when the tree falls. As long as the Yan family falls into trouble, these two families will perish with the Yan family. At this time, a capable helper is needed to support them from behind. For example, the Hai family. Although the Hai family needs to rely on the Yan family's east wind to develop steadily, they can also seek development on their own without huge interference after leaving the Yan family. What's more, Hai Chongyang is still in power now. He is no longer a wuxia, and he will be the most solid backing of the Yan family. Yan Kingsun knew that if a force wanted to grow and develop, it could not do it by itself, but also had allies. This was also the reason why he founded the tripartite alliance of Yan, Hai, and Kongtong. It was just a pity that Kongtong's sect could not keep up with the other two. But this situation requires Hai Chongyang to be alive, because he is a pro-Yan faction of the Hai family, and has a very high voice. If one day he passed away, the Hai family, as an ally, might also drift away from the Yan family and fall apart. Therefore, the Hai family wanted to make Yan Qingxun into Yan Lingyu and bring the Yan and Hai families closer. In fact, the Yan family also wanted Hai Yumo to become the next Hai Chongyang, so that the best ally of the Yan family could continue to exist and support the Yan family in all aspects. Now that Kunlun Gate was pulled in by Yan Xingkang, it was probably to continue Yan Lingyu's policy and make up for the vacancy caused by the weakening of Kongtong's sect. Between forces, interests are still more important. 2 more days passed. Today is the last day of the Yan family competition. The next game will also determine who will be the champion. The 2 opponents are Yan Qingxun from the Yan family and Hai Yumo from the Hai family. After defeating Yan Qingfeng, Yan Qingxun never fought with the Yan family again. His last 2 opponents were from the Hai family and the Kunlun Gate. Zhang Zhuang from the Kunlun Gate is worth mentioning. His Kunlun Dao did give Yan Qingxun a lot of trouble. Zhang Zhuang's strength is above Yan Qingfeng, and he has no obvious weaknesses. In the end, he relied on his superb swordsmanship to defeat the opponent. Before this, the strongest person Hai Yumo met was Yan Qingxiu from Kaishiling. The 2 are equally strong, and Hai Yumo's victory is more difficult than Yan Qingxun, and there is even a bit of luck. But after the competition, she actually made a breakthrough in the practice method she practiced, which was seen by everyone present. In other words, the old granddaughter of the Hai family that Yan Qingxun is about to face is now stronger than when she fought Yan Qingxiu. Because of this, more people are optimistic about Hai Yumo in this duel. In the stands, the Yan family sat together. Second brother, do you think the 10th brother will win? Yan Qingfei was a little worried about Yan Qingxun, and asked Yan Qingfeng beside him. The latter also had a serious face, shook his head, and sighed, because the 2 peak duels exposed the full strength of both of them. Everyone originally agreed that the 10th brother, Yan Qingxiu, Hai Yumo, and Zhang Zhuang, these 4 people should not have much difference in strength, and they are all likely to win, depending on their performance on the spot. But with Hai Yumo's breakthrough, and after a day of precipitation, his strength will be raised to another level. A slight difference can lead to 1,000 miles of difference. Between masters, this little difference can often determine the direction of victory or defeat. Yan Qingfeng's words made the other people look a little gloomy. Second brother, do you think that the 10th brother will still hide his weaknesses? In the battle with Zhang Zhuang, Yan Qingxun's 3 autumn swords, Xianshu sword, yellow leaf sword and the strongest autumn water sword were all exposed. Yan Qingfeng sighed. You should know that the 10th brother is only 17 years old now. Even if he is the reincarnation of the sword saint, how many sword techniques can he learn at such a young age? It is already the limit for him to comprehend those 4 sword styles, and the 10th brother is only at the 7th level of key training after all. Although everyone in the Yan family wanted Yan Qingxun to win, in the face of the absolute gap in strength, they still chose to face the reality. Practice hard. Our Yan family can afford to lose, but we can't sink because of this, Yan Qingfeng said earnestly. At the same time, his eyes moved horizontally to the competition stage, looking at the resolute figure, with hope in his heart, hoping that a miracle would happen. At this moment, Yan Qingxun and Hai Yumo also officially fought. This was also their first fight. Hai Yumo had watched the former's game, but Yan Qingxun had always been just polishing himself and not paying attention to others. Even if some clan members wanted to pass on information about Hai Yumo to him, he declined. It's not necessary to go through so much trouble to treat a little girl. At the same time, the 2 people on the competition stage, one of them was shining with spiritual light, and the other was full of sword energy. They all raised their momentum to the peak. They all adopted the strategy of crushing. For Hai Yumo, her strength has improved a lot compared to 2 days ago, so she naturally has to show her strength. If she can defeat the last favored clan member of the Yan family in a crushing manner, it can also better illustrate the strength of the younger generation of the Hai family, and it can also show that the Hai family is stronger than the Yan family. As for Yan Qingxun, he used all his strength just to reduce trouble. How to best defeat a person is to crush him in all aspects of strength. At the beginning, he was too lenient with Hai Chongyang and wanted to save some face for the other party. This also led to this guy's fantasy that he could surpass him. This time Yan Qingsun learned a lesson, and with Hai Chongyang as a backup, he was ready to solve it once and for all. Then, under the gazes of everyone, small runes appeared all over his body. These runes were shaped like small swords and were arranged in a regular pattern. This was the Xiao Divine Sword Rune Array. Chapter 166, Xiao Divine Sword Array. The competition is over. Small 5 Divine Sword Talisman Formation. The 5 gods correspond to the 5 internal organs, namely the heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys. The 5 internal organs produce and store human essence, ki, blood, body fluids, and spirits, so they are also called the 5 internal organ gods. Among them, the heart belongs to fire in the 5 elements, which is the yang among the yang. The lungs belong to gold, which is the yin among the yang. The spleen belongs to earth, which is the most yin among the yin. The liver belongs to wood, which is the yang among the yin. The kidneys belong to water, which is the yin among the yin. The way of the 5 internal organs secretly connects the 5 elements and is partial to yin and yang. This formation was obtained by Yan Qingsun in his previous life in the place where the talisman formation of this Hanming sect was inherited. He felt that it was extraordinary at the beginning. Even though he had no talent in sword and formation in his previous life, he still practiced it for half a month. But in the end, he was too clumsy and only learned a little bit. Fortunately, the qualifications and conditions in this life are suitable, so he can try again. After Yan Qingsun recovered his memory, he spent a lot of time practicing this talisman formation. Although he was not very skilled in the early stage, as he continued to master the sword, this sword formation could be of great use and became the most valuable and powerful trump card in his hand. Unfortunately, the little 5 divine sword talisman formation is only a formation after all, and it cannot be penetrated by the natural sword body and condensed into sword moves. This is also a pity. When Yan Qingsun used this sword formation, the competition stage was filled with a murderous and sharp aura for a while. The 5 small sword talismans emitted different dazzling lights and distorted the surrounding air. At the same time, its brilliance also shone on the former, and Yan Qingsun's momentum was rising steadily. Off the stage, the most shocked person was Yan Qingsu from Kaishiling, because he himself is a talisman formation master. At the beginning, Yan Lingyu won the recognition of the upper sect with the word guardian and obtained the inheritance of the talisman formation. But because of her own cultivation qualifications, she could not carry forward this supreme inheritance. She could only choose to select clan members with excellent array talents and pass on the inheritance in the Yan family. Perhaps in the future, the Yan family will have people with outstanding talents in both Taoism and array. And 100 years later, this clan member also appeared. He was Yan Qingsu. He was the first person of the new generation of the Yan family before Yan Qingsun rose. Little 5 divine sword talisman array, Yan Qingsu exclaimed in surprise. Although this sword array is not a formation in the inheritance of the talisman array, it was obtained by the ancestor Yan Lingyu. But after calculation, Yan Qingsu and Yan Lingyu agreed that the power of this array is extremely powerful. It's just that no one in the Yan family has been able to cultivate it so far. Even Yan Qingsu himself can't do it, because he has no talent in swordsmanship. Brother Qingsun actually has this trick. The strength he showed before may not be 60%. Yan Qingsu's voice was not loud, but the cultivators around him were people who listened to all directions. So they naturally heard it clearly. And with the former's guidance, the Yan family members also realized the power of Yan Qingsun. So he can also form a sword array. What did this kid eat to grow up? Is he really 17 years old? How can he learn so many moves and arrays at the age of 17? Is this really my son? So strong. I was wondering why my brother's room was bright and bright earlier. I guess he was practicing this little 5 divine sword array. Fortunately, I didn't disturb him at that time. Because of the unexpected turn of events, the Yan family showed a look of surprise. Originally, they were worried that their family members would not be able to defeat the Hai family and be outshined by the Hai family. In the end, they didn't expect that Yan Qingsun had saved a big one. Unlike the Yan family, who turned from worry to joy, the momentum of the Hai family was obviously dimmed. Not to mention the reaction of the Hai family audience, even Hai Yumo's expression became extremely solemn. As the most direct opponent, she was in the aftermath of the sword array, so she could naturally feel the changes in the opponent's momentum. The girl helplessly found that Yan Qingxun's own aura and sword intent were improving. Hayumo felt extremely heavy in his heart at this moment. But the next moment, her eyes became firm again, thinking, this sword formation has such power, almost reaching the level of the Zhuan level formation, and its consumption must be extremely great. As long as I can hold on for this period of time, when the opponent shows signs of decline, it will be my time to counterattack. In an instant, Hayumo thought of a countermeasure. As a member of the Hai family who is on good terms with the Yan family, she also knows more or less about the inheritance of the talisman formation. She doesn't believe that Yan Qingxun can maintain this sword formation forever. There must be a flaw. The Hades will possess me. Hayumo's body was ignited with dark soul fire, wrapping her slender body, and waves of soul-sucking power attacked her. The soul realm is coming. If the Hades will possess me as a unique skill in the refining Nether Yellow Spring Sutra, then the soul realm is the Zhuan level Taoist technique that Hayumo bought at a high price to enhance his 9-soul spirit body. For a moment, the translucent black mist swept across the entire competition stage, and almost all of it was eroded by soul power except for the place where Yan Qingxun stood. Then Hayumo was still worried, and he tightened the Fushu halberd in his hand, and the power of the tsunami emerged. The strength and momentum displayed by the girl are already very close to that of a foundation-building cultivator. But it seems that these are not enough. Not enough to resist the sword style that Yan Qingxun is about to perform. A figure of a sword cultivator slowly emerged from the Xiao Divine Sword Talisman formation. It was as if Yan Qingxun's shadow was magnified twice. If the lost Hengshui spirit body and the spiritual body source of the Zhuangxi Shui Mianju can amplify the power of the cultivator's Taoism, then this sword talisman formation is a bigger amplifier. Yes, the Xiao Divine Sword Talisman formation is not a killing formation, but an auxiliary formation. It can help cultivators transcend their cultivation and bless the swordsmanship of the sword. For sword cultivators, they only need cultivation and swordsmanship. Therefore, this formation is tailor-made for sword cultivators. I think its creator is also a famous supreme sword immortal. Yan Qingxun, who has become the focus of everyone, thought so in his heart. He raised the black iron sword in his hand, and felt that the sword was groaning. Yan Qingxun could feel the joy and pride of the sword, as if he would be crushed to pieces by using a sword in such a situation, and he would have no regrets. Could it be that the supreme sword body can help me better understand the thoughts of the sword itself? Yan Qingxun was a little confused, but he would not stop there, but chose to fulfill the yellow level sword in his hand, the black iron sword. Perhaps, for it is also a kind of honor to use the black level sword art with a yellow level body. In an instant, the competition stage was full of flying sand and rocks, and the foundation building referee in the field also looked solemn. Yan Ru'er knew that the next blow would decide the outcome, and the two little guys made too much noise, and their status was also very noble, so they must not make mistakes and must be preserved. Whether it was Yan Qingxun or Hayumo, whoever had an accident would be a loss for the Yan family. The true key around this mid-stage foundation building cultivator was also turbulent, echoing with the sword energy in the field. Go! Yan Qingxun swung a sword. This sword style is the autumn water sword, this concentrated sword. After continuous training, this sword move has been perfected, comparable to the foundation building offensive. Coupled with the blessing of the Xiao Divine Sword Array, even Yan Qingxun himself did not know the specific power of the Kishu sword. The bright black iron sword trembled slightly in the void, and then turned into smoke and dust, leaving only a sword light shooting towards Hayumo. The next moment, the sword light destroyed the opponent's layers of defense like a rotten wood, and knocked him out of the ring in the girl's incredible eyes. Chapter 167 Setbacks, Schedule. The light and shadows on the competition stage intertwined, and the momentum subsided. But after the smoke and dust dispersed, only Yan Qingxun's frivolous figure remained. Hayumo, the extraordinary woman of the Hai family, was defeated, but her injuries were not serious. Because at the most critical moment, the referee Yan Ruiyu took action and saved her. It was not Yan Qingxun's fault for being merciless. He himself had just practiced key cultivation. If he used his full strength, he would not be able to withstand it. At this moment, the woman who was originally high-spirited had a chaotic aura all over her body, an embarrassed attitude, and she couldn't believe it in her heart. She was in a trance. Hayumo had thought about losing to the Yan family. Before coming to Yangzhou, she still attached great importance to this enemy. But she never thought that she would lose to key training level 7, while she was key training level 9. And the opponent only used one move. Although this move was the opponent's killer, she also used all her strength to resist, but still couldn't resist and lost. For a time, Hayumo felt that all her previous efforts were in vain. She felt ashamed of her family and her clansmen. Even though the referee of the Yan family kept asking questions, she did not answer anything, but lowered her proud head. On the other side, Yan Qingxuan walked down the ring without any psychological burden, welcoming the cheers of the Yan family members. He knew that Hayumo would fall into a period of hardship, but this was what she should be exposed to and what she should encounter. At this moment, Hayumo was at a turning point. If she could survive this, she would be able to move forward without being blocked. If she could not survive and fell into depravity, she would be indistinguishable from the crowd and even breed demons. But these were none of Yan Qingxuan's business. It was not easy for him, the culprit, to come forward. And he believed that the old guy Hai Chongyang would be the first to be unable to sit still. It was better for the Hai family to enlighten the other party's granddaughter. His mission, Yan Qingxuan, had been completed. Sure enough, a blue light streaked across the sky and landed beside Hayumo at the first time. Hai Chongyang took his granddaughter from Yan Ruyu. The ancestor who had carried the Hai family for 100 years said earnestly, "You can't get up after just one failure? This is just Yan Qingxuan and the Yan family. Compared with the major forces in the Central Plains, they are just an ordinary family. In the entire Dacian dynasty, there are countless Xianjiao dragons and phoenixes. If you can't even cross this hurdle, then don't go to the Central Plains to embarrass the Hai family. There are some places in the family, so just give them to the clan members who are more in need." Hai Chongyang stared at his granddaughter. He was still satisfied with Hayumo's performance. According to his estimation, Hayumo's current strength should be equivalent to Yan Lingyu's 9th level of key training. It's just that Yan Qingxuan is a little too abnormal. Even Hai Chongyang himself didn't expect that he could defeat the enemy with one move. He ran here to clean up his butt in shame. Fortunately, he still has confidence in his granddaughter. This setback will not be difficult for the other party. It is only a matter of time before Hayumo gets back on his feet. And the girl's eyes became bright again during these words. On the attic, a group of high-ranking officials were watching the competition stage, and their expressions varied when they saw the final winner or loser. Wang Niansen, the Grand Elder of Kunlun sect, came to Yan Xingkang's side and said, "Congratulations, the Yan family has produced such a good seedling, and I think it is inevitable that he will enter Kiwai Sword Pavilion." Yan Xingkang returned the greeting and said, "This has just begun, and the next thing is more important. In the Central Plains, where there are vast land and hidden dragons, we, the remote forces, should be humble and learn. We must not be arrogant and think of the world from a narrow perspective. Brother Wang, prepare for the next agenda." Yes, Wang Niansen also looked into the distance unconsciously. 2 days after the competition, the Yan family did not make any major moves, while the Hai family and Kunlun sect continued to stay in Anyan Villa, preparing something. Unlike the high-ranking officials of the three families who have been moving around in the past 2 days, the low-level cultivators below are more comfortable. I think Yan Qingxuan's family of 4 are having a reunion dinner. Son, eat more of this kind of spiritual fish, it will be good for your cultivation. You are only at the 7th level of key training now, but you have such strength. You will be able to take off when you reach the 9th level. In the past few days, Yan Ruduang, Yan's father, has never stopped smiling. What he hopes most is that his child will have a bright future. And his son has indeed won glory. It's just a fluke, Yan Qingxuan replied modestly. Son, the list has been released, and you will have to go on a long journey soon. You must take good care of yourself when you are away, communicate more with the elders in the clan, and be humble when you meet outsiders. I heard that there are many forces in the Central Plains that eat people without leaving any bones. Don't try to provoke them and bring trouble to yourself, Yan's mother said worriedly. Watching her children grow up and leave, she always has countless worries. Got it, mother. At the same time, Yan Qingjin pouted and said, Brother, when you become rich in the future, you must come home more often, and you must bring back some good things from the Central Plains for me. I have heard that there are many high-level spiritual objects in the Central Plains. Any one of them is a rare treasure in our Yongzhou. Okay, I will naturally not forget you, Yan Qingxuan said with a smile. Qingjin, You must also work hard to seize the opportunity for the family to enter the Central Plains next time. Don't let it go, so that you two brothers and sisters can support each other. Dad, I will definitely take you to the Central Plains to see the world in the future, Yan Qingjin said with great enthusiasm. The family is happy. Yan Qingsun likes this warm atmosphere very much, and he also knows that this feeling will not last long. The family dispatch list has been released, and Yan Qingsun's name is among the 9 younger generations. In addition to him, the other 8 people are Yan Ruang, Rulin, King Xiu, King Feng, King Yu, King Hen, King Heng, and King Cheng. Before going to the Central Plains, these tribesmen will return to the Yan family in Keishiling to worship their ancestors. This is what Yan Qingsun is looking forward to most at this stage. Although it seems that only a moment has passed since Yan Lingyu's death and Yan Qingsun's memory has been revived. But it is still mixed with Yan Qingsun's childhood memories of 16 years. As time goes by, he still misses the tribesmen who stayed in Keishiling. He still respects the elders in the tribe like Yan Yingzhao. Perhaps Yan Qingsun's seniority is the highest in the entire family. But after each reincarnation, he still can't treat many of the older generations of the family as children, and will also treat them as elders who need to be respected. Moreover, this situation becomes more obvious as his seniority decreases. Not only that, Yan Qingsun also misses his wife and children. Until now, he still doesn't know what happened to Qin Hainer, Yan Zhenun, and Yan Zhenwei. Are they safe? Have they broken through the realm? These are also what Yan Qingsun wants to know urgently. At the same time, only by returning to Chu Shuling can Yan Qingsun fully grasp the current situation and plans of the Yan family's top management. Chapter 168, Changes in Keishiling, History of the Yan family. 2 days later, Anyan Villa was obviously much quieter. Many disciples went out to resume their original affairs, and those foreign guests also left one after another and disappeared. At the same time, the younger generations of the Yan family entered a flying boat under guidance. The direction of the flying boat was Sheonan County in the south. Yan Qingsun and his brothers boarded the flying boat and looked at the scenery in the distance. Everyone had different expressions, some excited, some solemn. But Yan Qingsun glanced around and found that many elders did not board the boat together. They must have headed towards the Central Plains and went ahead. Qingling County is far away from Sheonan County. Even if there is a large flying boat transmission, it will take nearly a month. There are advanced teleportation arrays, but the price is really expensive. It's okay for one person to have one thing, but a large number of Yan family disciples can't afford it. The main reason is that this extra expenditure is not necessary. Time passed slowly. Yan Qingsun continued to practice in the cabin. According to his concerns, he should be able to enter the 8th level of key training in another half a year. You have to know that he has just become the 7th level of key training. This day, following the reminder of his fellow tribesmen in the boat, Yan Qingsun came to the boat window and looked out. The familiar territory appeared in his eyes. Keishiling. Because there was still a long distance, everyone could only see a rough outline. But they could also see a lot of things from it. For example, the sparse green smoke in the mountains, the flickering light and shadow, the barrier of the formation that appeared from time to time, and the giant beast lying outside the mountain. Maybe other people of the Qing generation didn't feel it, but Yan Qingsun felt as if he was in another world. Originally, Keishu City outside Keishiling was just a small mountain village. But now, it is already a towering city. Even if they are still in the air, they can feel the black mass on the ground. The human settlement that rose because of the arrival of the Yan family has now developed into one of the largest cities in the entire Sheonan County after hundreds of years of swaying, attracting tens of thousands of people. From this, we can also see the status of the Yan family in Sheonan County. As the flying boat approached, the appearance of the entire Keishiling was fully presented to everyone in the Yan family. It was different from when Yan Qingsun had just left home and went to the Langaya secret realm. At that time, the Yan family had only been settled in Keishiling for less than 20 years. Some places in the mountains had not been developed, and many buildings had not been repaired. The signs of construction were very obvious. Now, I don't understand that the atmosphere of Keishiling has been finalized. Lush green mountains and green waters, various exquisite buildings are scattered in an orderly manner. There are often flying cranes circling in the sky, layers of blue clouds lingering. You can hear the names of birds and beasts from time to time, and there is a peaceful atmosphere in the air. What a fairyland! If Yan Qingsun hadn't recognized some ancient buildings, he might not have thought that this was Qiushiling. His roots. The changes in Qiushiling were far beyond his imagination. Looking at the scene in front of them, the younger generations of the Yan family all felt a sense of heroism and various senses of responsibility. At this moment, the Yan family no longer had a distinction between Yongzhou and Yingzhou. All the young generation have only one idea in their minds, that is, to protect the Yan family forever. No, this is not enough. They must not only continue, but also develop and continue to grow. After a violent tremor, the flying boat stopped and landed steadily. Yan Qingsun came out of the flying boat, and many members of the Yan family had been waiting for a long time. He looked around and did not see any familiar figures, and his eyes were inevitably a little depressed. After all, 130 years have passed, and many of his old friends are no longer there. At this time, an elegant middle-aged man came out. Yan Qingsun saw the shadow of Yan Lingyu in the other party. I am the head of the family, Yan Xianzhen, and welcome all the clansmen back to the family. In fact, Yan Xianzhen is the son of Yan Xin and the descendant of Yan Lingyu. From Yan Jilian to Yan Yingzhou, from Yan Yingzhou to Yan Xin, and then to Yan Xianzhen, 4 consecutive generations of Yan family heads. Their lineage has done the best in leading the development of the head of the family. And there is no situation of using public power for personal gain. Under the guidance of the clan members, Yan Qingsun and other Yongzhou lineages who had never been here before visited Qiushiling. Everyone was excited. Only Yan Qingsun sighed secretly. The next day, after bathing and changing clothes, a group of descendants were led into the Yan family ancestral hall. The next is the time to worship the ancestors. In fact, even if Yan Qingsun did not make this request, Yan Zikang would bring them back to worship the ancestors once. Because these clan members who have just experienced the world of immortal cultivation, let them go deep into the turbulence of the central plains, which is very worrying. After all, the will of these descendants is not particularly firm, and the Yan family is worried that similar incidents like Yan Renming will happen again. And worshipping the ancestors can best enhance the clan members' sense of family belonging. The Yan family ancestral hall is where all clan members will eventually return to. Even if they are in Qingling County or branches of Yu County, they will eventually return here, return to their roots, and leave their names in the family tree. The Yan family ancestral hall is dignified and solemn, grand but not extravagant. When the Yan family members enter here, they will feel a strong sense of security. It is as if their family ancestors are always by their side and guarding them. Yan Qingsun noticed the spirit tablets of the clan members placed in the main hall. Unlike before, the order of placement of the spirit tablets is no longer arranged according to seniority. There are 3 people at the top, namely Yan Ping, Yan Lingyu and Liu Yuxi. Next is no longer the spirit tablet of Yan Ping's son, but a group of people of different seniority such as Yan Renzhong, Yan Jilian, Yan Jikun, Yan Xinqiang, etc. Going down, it starts to be arranged according to seniority. Yan Qingsun looked at the familiar names one by one, and he realized that this was an arrangement based on the family's achievements. Needless to say, the 3 people at the top, Yan Jiliang and Yan Renzhong below them, were both family martyrs who bravely died in the Yanzhang battle. It can be said that without them, the Yan family might not be able to recover. In addition to these, family members with outstanding contributions such as the head of the family Yan Yingzhou and Yan Yinglian, who opened up the branch, are also in the second row. In addition to the second row, there are many spirit tablets. For example, Yan Xinqiang, Yan Lingfei, and Yan Lingpri. Yan Qingsun glanced down. All the members of the Yan family's 5th generation of Ji have passed away, and their spirit tablets are worshipped by the clan members. As for the 6th generation of Ying, only Yan Yinglian is not among them. After all, Yan Qingsun's uncle is not very old, and he is the son of Yan Ji. And the 7th generation of Ling is also older than that. Only Yan Lingzhang, Lingayan, Lingsu, Lingwen, and Lingfu are left. What surprised Yan Qingsun was that Yan Lingzhang, the canon of the Yan family, was still alive. According to calculations, the 4th of the Ling generation is almost 200 years old. Although the foundation building cultivator can theoretically live to 200 years old. But this is under the condition of pure cultivation. Many cultivators will leave hidden diseases in the early confrontations, which will affect their lifespan. Just as mortals can theoretically live to 100 years old, in fact, in this world, being 80 is considered old. Yan Qingsun looked solemnly and continued to look at these spirit tablets. The tablets not only have the names of the clan members, but also a brief record of their lives. Among them, there is a term that Yan Lingyu has never heard of: the Battle of Fu Minimum. There is something going on at home, so both chapters today will be late, please forgive me. Chapter 169, Battle of Fu Min, Changes in Clan Power. The Battle of Fu Min. This word can be seen on the spirit tablets of many clansmen, and it often appears in the last sentence, just like Yan Jiliang and Yan Jikun, whose life stories were finally fixed in the battle between Yan and Zhang. Yan Lingyu guessed that this Battle of Fu Min was also a turning point for the Yan family. And from the name, one can vaguely feel that this battle is related to the inheritance of the Fuzz Hendao of the Zhenming sect, and this is indeed the case. In the end, Yan Lingyu also learned all the processes of the Battle of Fu Min in the subsequent investigation. When Yan Lingyu died, the Yan family lost its pillar, and at the same time, the Hengshui sect put pressure on it. Many external forces all believe that the Yan family would never recover from this. Although for some reason, the Hengshui sect was not interested in the inheritance of the Fuzz and Dao. But these upper sects were not interested, but it did not mean that other forces did not have the idea of taking advantage of the opportunity. After all, this is a broad road leading directly to the nascent soul, which is equivalent to heaven-level technique, and it is hard not to be tempted. Moreover, it is unknown how this news leaked out, which cannot be investigated. Therefore, the Yan family, which was still in trouble, became the target of public criticism, and everyone wanted to get a piece of the pie. This is the world of cultivating immortals. When you are weak, the neighbors around you who were originally kind and benevolent will immediately turn into jackals and bite off a piece of meat from you to replenish themselves. During the 10 years of Hengshui sect's investigation, these forces did not dare to take action, nor were they willing to take action. They were waiting for the other party to leave, because these 10 years were actually the protection period of the Yan family. But time has passed, and a total of 6 major forces in the surrounding counties and states have taken action one after another. A comprehensive ban on the Yan family. But what these forces did not expect was that they found a very tenacious resistance from the Yan family. The Yan family is both excellent in formation and pill, and they are not short of resource reserves. At the same time, although they have been suppressed by Hengshui sect for 10 years and their expansion of power has stagnated, this does not mean that their cultivation has also stagnated. 10 years after Yan Lingyu's death, the younger generation of the Yan family rose amazingly, and batches of talents emerged. The number of foundation-building cultivators reached an exaggerated number of 40, including vassal forces. And Qin Zhang, the Princess Qin, also took action to block the 2 most deadly giant cultivators for the Yan family. With this, the Yan family had a chance to breathe. Perhaps the 6 alliances did not understand what this meant, because the Zhang family, who had personally given the Yan family a chance, had been destroyed. No one knew how strong the regeneration ability and tenacious fighting spirit of this foundation-building family that rose from the small Yingzhou was. After experiencing the first wave of raids, the Yan family instantly gained a foothold. The clan members, including Liu Yuxi, Yan Yingzhou, and Yan Yinglian, all showed excellent command and combat capabilities. Moreover, at this moment, Qin Rain and Yan Lingyu also took action one after another. And the formations were frequently used, turning the entire Keishiling into an extremely solid copper wall. This is also the reason why Yan Lingyu saw so many formations outside Keishiling before he came here, most of which were left at that time. The clan members had enjoyed this blessing, and even if the spiritual stones were consumed, they were reluctant to cancel these formations, and they have been used to this day to protect the Yan family. Although the Yan family stabilized the situation, the pressure was still huge. The family cultivators were all dying. The Ji, Ying, Ling, Xin, and even the newly born Xian generations all lost their clansmen in this battle. It was also at this time that the 3 family alliance set up by Yan Lingyu played a role. When Hai Chongyang was in power, the Hai family almost came to help with the whole clan, and they also lost a lot of clansmen. Therefore, there are still voices of dissatisfaction with the Yan family and the Hai family, and the Yan family has shown as much tolerance as possible. The Hai family blocked the invasion from the north for the Yan family. On the other hand, the Kongtong sect did not do it personally. Because the supreme elder of the Kongtong sect at that time was not like Hai Ziotian, who fell in the Langai Gorge. Although Lin Zixin wanted to rescue the Yan family, he did not have much strength. In the end, he was left with a hidden disease in that battle, which cut off his hope of golden elixir and made him depressed for life. It was precisely because of Kangtong sect's behavior that the rising Yan family, after Lin Zixin's demise, disregarded past feelings and did not support the defeated Kangtong sect. It can even be said that if the Yan family had not seen Lin Zixin's heroic sacrifice, Kangtong sect would have been taken in by the current Yan family as a complete vassal. The Yan family's foreign aid not only has two allies, but also other support. For example, the He family far away in Yazhou. He Tuangfang brought a team of foundation-building clansmen to the Yan family to help resist foreign enemies. And Duanfeng, a disciple of the Hengshui sect who was saved by Yan Lingyu, was also among them. In the end, he died tragically to repay the kindness of the year. The Yan family and Kunlun sect have been on good terms since then. At that time, Yan Zikang and Wang Nianse and other Kunlun sect disciples were close friends, so Kunlun sect also sent a team of foundation-building monks. In the end, the Yan family survived the difficulties under many difficulties. After all, the alliance of the 6 foreign enemies was not of one mind. After a long period of consumption, conflicts naturally arose within the alliance, and each retreated. The Yan family was thus preserved. But what happened at that time was too tragic. For example, why Yan Xingwu later went to Yangzhou was also because the family leaders were worried that the Yan family would perish, and they kept the fire. The Yan family was considered to have won, but it was also a tragic victory, and there were almost signs of a generational break. It was also because the past was unbearable to look back, and the clan members did not want to recall this painful period, so Yan Qingxun, who was in Yangzhou, did not know about this until now. People always say that a family needs to rely on a war to rise. The Yan family understands this well. The battle between Yan and Zhang allowed the Yan family to leave Yingzhou and come to Xiaonan County. The Battle of Fumin also indirectly led to the Yan family becoming the overlord of Xiaonan County and even the 6 southern counties. 10 years later, another 10 years. The Yan family was licking its wounds and recuperating. Gradually, some people forgot about the Battle of Fuminimum. But the demise of a family has once again unveiled the veil. No one could have imagined that the Yan family would recover so quickly, and even break out of the cocoon, reborn from the nirvana, and give birth to a Jinden cultivator. After Yan Xingkan became a Jinden, the first thing the Yan family did was revenge. The hostile forces with Jinden are another matter, but those foundation-building families without Jinden are in big trouble. Over the past few decades, the Yan family has produced another 30 foundation-building cultivators, and they started a large-scale sweep. Later, Hai Chongyang and Wang Niansen, with the lessons learned from Yan Xingkang, also entered the Jinden stage one after another, and the 3 families re-established the alliance. The 6 families also met their end, and eventually perished or absconded. The Yan family thus consolidated its dominant position. The momentum reached its peak, and no one in the south dared to provoke it, and it was bloody. It was not until the Hengshui sect and the Daqian dynasty warned that it stopped. After that, the news that the Yan family had the recipe for the foundation-building pill spread like wildfire, and was firmly believed by the southern cultivation community. Without the support of the foundation-building pill recipe, the Yan family would not be able to produce a large number of foundation-building cultivators in a short period of time. But no one dared to covet it anymore. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170, Old Friends, Wife and Children. Speaking of the Fumin battle, the biggest advantage of the Yan family is that they have the foundation-building pill formula, which can mass-produce foundation-building pills and give birth to many foundation-building cultivators. This is also the main reason why the Yan family can narrow the gap with the 6 alliances. If a force does not have an unlimited supply of foundation-building pills, it will take 200 or 300 years and several generations of sedimentation and accumulation to produce 30 golden elixir cultivators. However, the Yan family can produce the same number of foundation-building cultivators in 2 generations of 50 years. And the stamina will only get stronger and stronger. If there were not a large number of foundation-building cultivators, the Yan family would not have been able to support the first wave of attacks. If you can't even hold on to the initial attack, let alone wait for others to rescue you, others will see that you are a rotten wall that can't be supported, and they will even stay away from you. Speaking of the foundation building pill formula, we have to mention the Zhang family. The two important items in Yan Lingyu's hand, the Zhuangxi Shumianju and the foundation building pill formula, were both obtained by him from this family. It is also because of these two that the Yan family owns Keishiling and can rise. The key is that the Zhang family cannot use these spiritual objects. If the Zhang family had produced a talented person at the beginning, perhaps the situation of the Yan and Zhang families would have changed. But after all, there is still an opportunity, but they are not blessed to enjoy it, which is a bargain for the Yan family. This is also the harvest of the Yan family when they took great risks to participate in the Hongmen banquet. Yan Qingxun quietly stared at the spirit tablet in front of him, feeling the calm breath of the surrounding clansmen. At this moment, the head of the family, Yan Xianzhen, who was standing at the front, suddenly knelt on the ground. All the clansmen followed suit, and the solemnity on their faces became even more serious. Ancestors, bless the Yan family to prosper. Passed down for 10,000 years, ancestors, bless the Yan family to prosper. Passed down for 10,000 years. After the ancestor worship, Yan Qingxun will stay in Keishiling for 3 days. These 3 days are the time for the family to teach and impart the skills and Taoist arts. After all, this is Keishiling, Shaonan County, and the territory of the Yan family. The Taoist scriptures contained in the library of Keishiling are much more than those in Yangzhou, and they are also much more advanced. The Yan family still wants to strengthen these clansmen as much as possible and enhance their potential and strength. So before leaving, all the younger generations were allowed to enter the library to choose what they needed, and if there was a need, the Yan family would try their best to meet it within 3 days. The spiritual objects that the clan did not have would also be purchased from surrounding forces as soon as possible. Among them, Yan Qingxun was taken care of the most. The Yan family was not outstanding in swordsmanship, so the relevant scriptures were not rich, but in order to better meet the former, the Yan family specially found a lot of sword tactics and swordsmanship during the flight for Yan Qingxun to practice and polish himself. The latter is not pretentious, and he should learn what he should learn. He is now trying to see if he can condense his one-level sword scripture into a sword through the innate sword body. Not only that, the Yan family saw Yan Qingxun's talent in formation, because of the Xiao divine sword talisman formation. So they also sent someone to guide him. And that person was Yan Lingyu, who ranks 7th in the Ling generation. The other party was sitting in front of Yan Qingxun at this moment, looking at the younger generation of the clan with a kind face. As if he was born to be a nemesis. Whether in this life or the previous life, Yan Qingxun was reserved towards this clan member, lacking the usual ease and carefreeness. Seeing the originally beautiful face become extremely old, Yan Qingxun seemed to be touched by something, and sighed in his heart. According to calculations, Yan Lingyu is also 180 years old. Now she has just entered the late stage of foundation building, and it is a long way to go before the golden elixir. Maybe Yan Qingxun will go to the central plains this time, and after returning, the family ancestral hall will have another spiritual tablet. How could he not feel uncomfortable? As if sensing the mood change of the young man, Yan Lingyu was a little confused, stopped the previous sermon, and asked, "Qingxun, is there anything you don't understand about the talisman array?" "Don't worry, you can ask questions." Yan Lingyu's voice was vicissitudes, and faintly hoarse. For this clan member from Yangzhou, Yan Lingyu always liked him very much for some reason. Looking at the other person's young face, the old elder couldn't stop smiling. "Grandma, there is no doubt, you have explained it very thoroughly." Yan Qingxun lowered his head, not daring to look at Yan Qingyun's somewhat turbid eyes. The latter also thought that this was the restraint of the younger generation, so he didn't care. Then let's continue to talk about the construction of the formation. For other people, these 3 days are to practice hard. But Yan Qingxun is collecting information. He learned everything about the Battle of Fumin from Yan Lingyu, and could only sigh. He also saw his wife Qin Hanner in his previous life in Keishiling. He didn't dare to get close, but just looked at her from afar. Looking at the beautiful woman whose appearance has hardly changed much, but her face is more haggard, Yan Qingxun felt guilty. His promise to come back from the Lingyu secret realm was not fulfilled. I don't know if they will have a chance to recognize each other in this life. If Yan Qingxun can reach the Yuanying realm, he will have some confidence. It is impossible now. Yan Qingxun also learned about the situation of his 2 children. Let's talk about Yan Xinwei first. She joined the Hengshui sect very early. Yes, It was the Hengshui sect. This was also a helpless move by the Yan family. It was considered a hostage, and it was also a compromise, showing that they had no complaints about the Hengshui sect. Fortunately, He Tongfeng also cultivated a golden elixir, and he could take care of Yan Xinhui and the sect. But Yan Qingxuan didn't know how his daughter was doing now, whether she was a golden elixir or not. Perhaps only the top leaders of the Yan family, or even her mother Qin Hainer, knew. Yan Qingxuan felt that Yan Xinhui's entry into the Hengshui sect was okay, and he felt that the Yan family was still rational. This upper sect was too large, and the Yan family had obvious malice towards it, which would only affect its own development. At this stage, it might be easier for the Hengshui sect to crush the Yan family than to crush an ant. And Yan Lingyu's other child, Yan Xingpeng, has married and had children. His wife is an elder of the Kunlun sect named Shengwenqin. The two were in the middle stage of foundation building 20 years ago, close to the late stage. But now there is no news, no one in the clan, and no one knows what is going on recently. I think they were sent to the Central Plains by the family. The couple also has a son and a daughter, named Yan Xiangxiao and Yan Xianming, who are also senior figures in the Yan family today. Yan Qingxuan also saw these two people when he was in Keishiling. The former was at the foundation building stage, while Yan Xianming had average talent and lost the possibility of building a foundation. After the younger generation of the clan stayed in Keishiling for 3 days, they set off again and boarded a more exquisite flying boat. From Xiaonan County to the Central Plains, it is necessary to cross more than a dozen counties, and the journey is extremely long. They will stay on the flying boat for at least half a year. In addition to the rest during the journey and possible incidents, it is roughly estimated that it will take a total of 18 months to reach the destination. Chapter 171 Longming County, Yanzhenun. Longming County, Jizhao, Huangjiang City. A very ordinary back figure walked through the alleys in the city, and finally came to a small and simple courtyard. Pushing the door open, the figure took off the original disguise and transformed into a new look. It was a standard square face, with a heroic look, about 40 years old. If Yan Qingxuan was here, he would definitely recognize the other party's identity. It was his own son Yan Xinhuan. This small courtyard is a gathering place for the Yan family. Many clansmen have been waiting inside for a long time. And Yan Xinhuan is the person in charge of the Yan family here, collecting intelligence in the area. The Yan family members in Huangjiang City are just one of the dispatched ones, and other clansmen are scattered all over the Central Plains. There are also frequent correspondence between each other. Yan Xinhuan came to the secret room, and the eyes of all the Yan family members fell on him. Yan Xinhuan asked, "How is Xianzhen doing recently?" Yan Xianzhen replied with a solemn face, "Because of the sudden death of the Chen family's genius, the two forces in the city have been fighting to the death. Huangjiang City will also be closed recently to find out the real murderer who killed Chen Mings." On the other hand, the situation in Daiyan City next door is similar. Jinden cultivators often appear and arrest suspicious people. The words of the clan members made Yan Xinhuan frown. Nowadays, the situation in the entire Longming County is very chaotic. There are often outstanding disciples of various forces being hunted down by black hands, causing panic among the people. Young people dare not go out at all. The reason for this situation is that with the arrival of the Great Era, the major sects openly recruit disciples. The relationship between small and medium-sized forces in Longming City is far more complicated than that in Xiaonan County. It is almost the most extreme scene of life and death. Each force has its own mortal enemy, and there is no trust in each other. The entire county is caught in a bloody storm. Originally, it was still able to maintain a delicate balance. Each family was worried about being taken advantage of, so they restrained themselves and preserved their power. But the big sects recruiting disciples, this kind of thing, destroyed this point. The big sects naturally want those with extraordinary talents to recruit disciples. But for small forces, such outstanding talents are not available to every force, and there will always be a situation where some forces have a generational gap in new forces. These small and medium-sized forces without geniuses, their own disciples cannot enter the big sects and cannot be protected by them, so they will do their best to stop other forces. After all, everyone is a feud. If one side rises, the other side will be destroyed, and joining a big sect is the best way to rise. So, the matter of hiring murderers to hunt geniuses appeared. And it was out of control. If their own genius was killed and they lost their opportunities, they would naturally not let others have an easy time. As a result, The entire Longming County became uneasy. Geniuses always die. In this case, the Yan family can gain both benefits and disadvantages. The advantage is that the younger generations of the Yan family have not yet arrived in the Central Plains, so they can preserve their strength without worrying about their safety. The disadvantage is that it is difficult for an unfamiliar foreign force like the Yan family to fish in troubled waters, and they may even be regarded as suspicious characters and hunted down. This is also the main reason why Yan's Initun came in a mysterious way. Uncle, you gathered us together today, but have you received the situation over at Keishuling? A member of the family asked. They understand their mission deeply. It was at this time that Yan's Initun's serious expression eased a little. He said lightly, the Ancestor has sent me a message through the secret method. The selection of the younger generation of the Yan family has been announced, and because the members of the family have performed very well, our Yan family has obtained 4 more places than before. Among them, there is a sword genius who can take the lead with the cultivation of the 7th level of key training. The family asked us to pay special attention to him, and asked us to cooperate with all our strength so that the younger generation can join Kiwai Sword Pavilion. As soon as Yan's Initun finished speaking, the expressions of all the Yan family members were obviously excited. That's great. Kiwai Sword Pavilion is the best choice for our Yan family to rely on, and the swordsman of the Li family has just been severely injured. We have great hope. If we can really let a junior enter Kiwai Sword Pavilion, our previous efforts and hard work will not be in vain. Zenitun, when did your brother say he would arrive? At this moment, a low and heavy voice sounded. It was an old man sitting in the corner. His face was almost as pale as a dead person, but his figure was still sturdy and upright, not like an old man. This person is Yan Lingyu. He has never been a person who is content with his lot since he was a child. Even if he is about to die, he still wants to make a contribution to the Yan family in his lifetime. So he, who could have enjoyed his old age, still came to this strange place to help the Yan family. His late foundation building cultivation was also very useful. Fourth uncle, it will take about 1.5 years for the third brother and his friends, Yan Zenitun replied respectfully. Well, as long as we wait for the arrival of the giant and cultivators, we will have some confidence and can intervene in many trivial matters. The first batch of cultivators sent by the Yan family to the Central Plains were all in the foundation building stage. It was useless to come for key training. If the giant and cultivators were lost, it would be a huge loss for the Yan family. In addition, there were still some forces in Cheonan County that needed to be suppressed. So the backbone forces were sent first. The so-called Central Plains area of Dekian actually mainly refers to the territory of the 18 counties, including the Imperial City. These 18 counties occupy almost 30% of the territory of the entire Dakian and are located in the center of the entire dynasty. Except for the Imperial County, the other 17 counties have a large force at the Yuanying level. Of course, these forces as a whole are still slightly inferior to the ancient upper sects, such as Hengshui sect. Kiwai Sword Pavilion is one of them, and its sect site is also in Longming County. Most of the cultivators who came to Longming County from all over the world came to join the Sword Pavilion, so the wind of swordsmanship prevailed here, and even attracted scattered cultivators. Then we should hide first, conserve our energy, and wait for the tribe members to arrive. By the way, how many spirit stones do we have left now? Yan Zenitun continued. The tribe member with slightly darker skin named Yan Ruian answered, there are only about 50,000 spirit stones left. The situation is not very good. This made Yan Zenitun frown again. You know, they can use spirit stones for everything they do in Huangjiang City, not to mention that they have to get information. But as an outside force, the Yan family has no real estate, spirit mines and spirit fields. If they open a store, they will be suppressed by the surrounding indigenous forces. Even if they are trading, they will be severely exploited. It can be said that they are spending more than they earn, and they are completely eating up their mountain. Every day, a huge amount of spirit stones are consumed. The elixirs, formations, talismans, etc. that were originally brought from the tribe have been sold out. And 50,000 spirit stones are just a drop in the bucket for a group of foundation building cultivators. It seems that it will be difficult for us to stay out of it. Yan Zenitun said so, and the Yan family planned to join the turmoil. Chapter 172 Zhang Xialing, Letter of Attorney. Zenitun, what do you think? Seeing Yan Zenitun seemed to have made an important decision, Yan Lingyu asked curiously. I have some friendship with Zhang Xialing of the Zhang family. Let's see if we can get involved in Jizhao through him. Of course, if we really want to get in touch with the Zhang family, we must make plans and efforts. You are the boss here, just as you say, Yan Lingyu said with trust. He knew that he was not good at strategy and was just a thug. He would not generally join the family's decision-making, even though he was almost the highest generation in the family. The Yan family members exchanged information with each other and then dispersed. Yan Lingyu had notified in advance not to leave Huangjiang City too far, because once he got in touch with the Zhang family, he would have an important task soon. After Yan Lingyu came out of the remote courtyard, he went straight to the famous restaurant Huang Halao in the city and invited Zhang Ziling. Soon the other party agreed to meet. Why did Yan Lingyu choose to intervene from the Zhang family? Because he saved Zhang Ziling's life? There are also some dangerous secret places around Longming County, which attract a group of cultivators to look for opportunities. Yan Lingyu was the one who saved the former 3 years ago, and the two of them established a deep friendship. There is one more thing. The Yan family also knew about the Zhang family in advance. Its power is very large. The Zhang family in Huangjiang City is just one of its branches, and there is a giant cultivator in charge. Moreover, the Zhang family is not irritable. Unlike the Zhang family in Yingzhou, they are full of reason and gentleness, and enjoy a good reputation. Another point is that the Zhang family has just had an accident recently, and the clan members of the clan have been killed. It is the time when they need help. These are the reasons why Yan Lingyu chose the Zhang family to try to join them. Soon, in the private room of the Yellow Crane Tower, Yan Lingyu met Zhang Ziling. The latter looks quite young, with a long face, a high nose bridge, and phoenix eyes. He looks less than 30 years old. In fact, he is already 90 years old and is now in the late stage of foundation building. It must be said that the cultivators in the Central Plains are indeed faster in cultivation than those in remote counties such as Xiaonan County. Dao Zhang, Dao Yan, the two exchanged pleasantries and then began to eat the spiritual food, and both sides were testing each other. Zhang Ziling was not stupid. The other party put on this posture, obviously he had something to ask for, but because he was his lifesaver, it was not easy to refuse, so he could only see the specific situation first. Yan Lingyu, who was standing aside, saw the other party's eyes swing, and knew that the time was ripe and he should get to the point. He coughed lightly and said loudly, Dao Zhang, in fact, I am not just a casual cultivator, I also come from a family power. As soon as Yan Lingyu finished speaking, Zhang Ziling secretly said in his heart, as expected. He had long seen that the other party did have a background, not like a casual cultivator without a sect or school. At the same time, he was also alert in his heart, wondering what the former wanted. Although the other party had done him a favor first, it was impossible for him to put his family in danger for him. Zhang Ziling did not speak, but waited for Yan Linyu's next words. I am from the Yan family of Xiaonan County. Xiaonan County is located in the remote south, where spiritual objects are scarce and the path to immortality is obstructed. Therefore, the family hopes to open a branch in the Central Plains. However, I have been operating in Huangjiang City for many years, but I have not made much achievements. I can't get in touch with the upper world at all, and I have wasted my own spiritual stones in vain. Finally, after careful consideration, I, Yan Lingyu, hope to join your Zhang family. Yan Linyu's words were loud and clear, which surprised Zhang Ziling. Daqian only has about 100 counties. It is not difficult to remember these county names, and there is indeed such a Xiaonan County. After hearing the former's words, Zhang Ziling already believed it. If it is just to take care of and support a small family, their Zhang family can still do it. Moreover, this kind of thing is not uncommon. Every year, forces outside the Central Plains region try their best to squeeze here. Seeing that the other party seemed to be somewhat interested, Yan Lingyu continued half-truthfully, the members of my Yan family sent to Huangjiang City include not only me, but also 6 or 7 others, and they are all capable of building a foundation and practicing qi. Zhang Ziling pondered for a moment, his eyes flashed, and he said, I can't make the decision on this matter, but I can introduce you to the elders of my family. In fact, the member of the Zhang family who died was Zhang Ziling's grandson. He was still secretly angry and needed to seek revenge. In this way, the two of them left the Yellow Crane Tower together and headed towards the Zhang family's house in Huangjiang City. At this moment, in front of Yan Lingyu stood a majestic old man, whose angry eyes were glaring, which was very scary. You said you want to join my Zhang family, Zhang Pinghu glanced at Yan Lingyu. Yes, Senior Zhang, Yan Zhenyun replied with his back straight, his eyes full of respect. This made Zhang Pinghu feel a little admiration. It's not impossible to help your Yan family gain a foothold, but you have to make a pledge. Help my Zhang family to kill Uncle Kuijun. The Kui family has a certain prestige in the whole Jizhao. There are no less than 10 Jinden cultivators in the family. The strongest cultivator has even reached the peak of Jinden, and is only one step away from cultivating Yuaning and becoming a real person. Yan Zhenyun had to fall into deep thought. Uncle Kuijun is a famous sword genius of the Kui family, and there is a high probability that he will enter Kui Wei Sword Pavilion. If he is killed, it is equivalent to completely making enemies with the Kui family. At that time, they can only rely on the Zhang family completely. The Zhang family is not stupid, and they are also worried about raising an ungrateful person. As long as the Yan family offends the Kui family, there will be no rebellion. Yan Zhenyun's mind was full of thoughts for a moment. He thought of his mission, which was to collect as much intelligence as possible to establish a foundation for the Yan family's future stay. But it is difficult. The useful information has been completely blocked by the high-level forces, and outsiders have no idea what is going on inside. Yan Zhenyun had been inquiring for 5 whole years. But he didn't even know the time and place where Kui Wei Giants would recruit disciples. This was also the reason why he decided to join the local forces. Those of the Yan family who came first must collect intelligence in advance. Yan Zhenyun believed in the ability of the family. As long as he could provide all the information clearly, the Yan family would definitely be able to continue as planned and eventually gain a foothold. He had only one mission purpose, and that was intelligence. For this purpose, he would not hesitate even if he died. And this Uncle Kuijun was also a competitor of the Yan family. Because the Yan family also had a sword genius, it would be good for the Yan family to kill the former. Moreover, the main base of the Yan family was in Xiaonan County, and the Kui family could not affect it after the feud, so there was no worry. Yan Zhenyun's eyebrows moved. Although he thought a lot, only 2 breaths of time had passed. My Yan family is willing to take this risk, but please let Senior Zhang know the specific action plan. After all, he is a genius of the Kui family and is protected by layers of protection. There are also giant and cultivators guarding him. My Yan family only has a few foundation-building cultivators. Please forgive our limited abilities. Although he agreed, it was impossible for him to do a mission that would ensure his death. Chapter 173 Robbery and Murder, Yan Family Plan. The Yan family wanted to know what decision the Zhang family would make regarding the robbery and murder of Uncle Kuijun. This was a very dangerous matter, and one could lose one's life if one was not careful. The other party must have made this request with a certain degree of confidence. Otherwise, if the Yan family rashly attempted the robbery and failed, it would alert the enemy, and it would be even more difficult to do it again. After learning that Yan Zhenyun agreed, Zhang Pinghu, the Golden Pill Master, also looked serious. He touched his sleeves and took out a scroll in front of the Yan family. The scroll opened in the void, and it was a map. Yan Zhenyun had seen a lot of maps of Longming County, but most of them were ordinary goods on the market, and many of the information was not marked in detail, and even had a lag. The one that the Zhang family took out was obviously carefully drawn. Yan Zhenyun's eyes lit up, and he seized the opportunity to memorize the key points, while listening to the other party's next words. Zhang Pinghu pointed to a place on the map with one hand and said, "This time it is the secret realm Lingjian Xianqi. Uncle Kuijun has a special technique and must practice here frequently. My Zhang family has received accurate information that the other party will go there in the next few days, and there will be Jinden monks to protect them. Master Jinden, we can help you lead them away, but the remaining foundation-building monks must be dealt with by you. I don't know their specific cultivation and the specific number of people." Yan Zhenyun thought about it in his heart after listening. The Zhang family even studied the route so clearly, I think they had planned it long ago. If my family didn't show up, they would find the right time to act. But now it is obvious that the Yan family's knife is more useful. Each family is a relatively well-known person, technique and Taoist technique, and the monks are easily recognized outside. The Yan family is an external force and has not made much moves before. If they come to rob and kill, even if they are exposed, the Kui family will not immediately suspect the Zhang family. In fact, for the chaotic Longming County, small forces like the Yan family are actually very popular. Every family wants to recruit a few. As long as they are well disciplined, they can be a sharp knife that can play an unexpected role. Yan Lingyu thought about it. If the giant and cultivator can be lured away, the crisis will be greatly reduced. He still has confidence in the strength of his family members. Even if the mission fails, they can retreat. But what happens after the retreat must be redetermined. This is feasible, Yan Lingyu said decisively. So far, the two sides have reached a preliminary cooperation. After that, it is the tedious stage of establishing the Heavenly Dao Oath. After all, when the two families are in such a position, everything they say can only be listened to, and in the end, it will still be controlled by the Heavenly Dao. After asking clearly, Yan Lingyu also left. Zhang Pinghu and Zhang Zhiling looked at the back of the former leaving and communicated. Sixth Master, do you think this Yan family can be trusted? Zhang Pinghu laughed, his eyes full of viciousness. It doesn't matter whether it works or not, they are just exploring the way first, and our Zhang family has a backup plan behind. From the moment Uncle Kuijun's whereabouts were exposed, his fate was doomed. If the Yan family succeeds, that's the best, and it proves that this knife is useful and can be kept. Even if it fails, once our relationship is severed, they will have no place to stay in Jizhao and will not threaten us. After listening, Zhang Zhiling was thoughtful. On the other side, Yan Lingyu left the Zhang family and did not rush to gather the Yan family. Instead, he wandered around the city for a day, and then suddenly disappeared in the crowd. Then he appeared in another somewhat dilapidated temple. At this moment, all the members of the Yan family in Jizhao are here. Yan Lingyu, Shang Wenqin and his wife, Yan Lingzhang, Yan Xincheng, Yan Zianzhen, Yan Zianhong, Yan Ruyan, Lu Hedan. Zhang, how is the situation? Yan Lingzhang asked. We need a token of surrender. Yan Lingyu informed his family members of everything that happened in the Zhang mansion. As soon as he finished speaking, the family members had different reactions. Some were worried, some were thoughtful, and some were understanding. Although it was obvious that the family members had their own opinions on this matter, no one spoke out against it. Yan Lingyu glanced at everyone, then sat down at the wooden table, took out a simple map of his home, and drew on it based on his memory. While drawing, he said, "This is the Zhang family's map. It can be regarded as the biggest gain of our trip. In fact, it even marks the specific sphere of influence of Kui Weijianj, which is equivalent to telling us where its ancestral site is." Then, Yan Lingyu pointed to a small hill pattern that had just been drawn and the ink had not yet completely dried, and said, "This place is called Bai Valley. It is the most rugged place. It is also the only way for Uncle Kuijun to go to Lingji and Xianxi. In theory, this place is most suitable for ambush and assassination, but if we think so, the other party will be able to guess it, so they will be extra careful when passing through Bai Valley, which will make it difficult to take action. My idea is to wait until they walk out of Bai Valley and come to this riverbed, and then take action and take them down in one fell swoop." Everyone in the Yan family nodded in agreement. Yan Lingyu paused and said, "This operation will be more difficult than we thought. The Zhang family must not have figured out the whole plan. You must adapt to the situation. If you find that it is impossible, flee immediately. Don't worry about other things. There is still a year and a half before the arrival of the younger generation of the family. One failure is acceptable. We can't trust the Zhang family too much. Its reputation is just floating on the surface. It is unknown whether it is black or white behind the scenes." So, Yan Lingyu looked at Yan Ruyan, the youngest and weakest member of the Yan family, and said lightly, "Ruyan, you will assist from the outside and guard against emergencies for us. If there is an accident, you will turn around and run away. Don't come to rescue us. You must send the information back to the family. It has always been the code of conduct of the Yan family to consider defeat before talking about victory." And Yan Lingyu did this simply to keep a hand. He didn't believe that the Zhang family wanted to harm the Yan family. After all, the two families have no grudges, and Yan Lingyu and his group are all paupers. They don't have any wealth in Longming County. At most, they can squeeze out 50,000 spirit stones. These are not enough for the Zhang family's plan. "Anything else you want to ask?" Yan Lingyu said. "Uncle, should we show all our strength?" Yan Zianhong asked. Showing all our strength is equivalent to exposing all the cards of the Yan family. This will give others the possibility to target the Yan family, and even the Zhang family will regard them as toothless jackwalls. "Yes," Yan Lingyu said firmly. "Our Yan family has been lurking in Longming County for a long time. The world does not know our existence. This can naturally protect ourselves, but it also makes others underestimate us. and we can't get access to upper level information, this mission is also a time to show off the prestige of the Yan family. At least we should let the Zhang family know that our knife is still very useful, so that they will not abandon it easily. Chapter 174 Uncle Kuijun, Kuiwenhui. Beia Valley is located in the east of Longming County. Its geological structure is special and it has an infinite magnetic field. It is difficult for ordinary foundation building cultivators to escape and travel, so it is rarely visited. At this moment, in the dark valley, a team of figures are constantly shuttling. Among them, the one who is protected in the middle is a handsome young man with a ribbon wrapped around his waist and a white jade face. He looks very handsome. He is the most talented swordsman of the new generation of the Kui family, Kui Junshu. And next to him, the person closest to him is an ordinary white-haired old man, but the brilliance that keeps flashing in the old man's eyes also makes people feel that his identity is not ordinary. The old man's name is Kui Wenhua, and he is a mid-stage giant and cultivator. He is also the main person in charge of escorting Kui Junshu this time. In addition to them, there are 7 sturdy members of the Kui family around them, each of whom is in the middle and late stages of foundation building. If this force is placed in Sheonan County, the ground will shake 3 times when they stomp their feet. There are not many people in the Kui family. After all, it is a big family, and there are many affairs in the family that need manpower. It is impossible to use all of them to escort a junior. No matter how important Uncle Kui Jun is, he is not to the point of deciding the life and death of the Kui family. Kui Wenhua released his spiritual sense and was alert to the surroundings. With his mid-stage giant in cultivation, if there was any disturbance within 100 miles, it would not escape his detection. On the other side, he was also chatting with his family grandson. Uncle Jun, how is your cultivation this time? Kui Wenhua said in a voice transmission. The latter was only practicing Qi, and he didn't need to worry about being alert to the surroundings. This young man was the most relaxed person at the moment. The Yiki Sanking sword has been cultivated to the 3rd level. Uncle Kui Jun's tone was full of excitement and pride. He was the 2nd person in the history of the Kui family who could cultivate the Yiki Sanking sword to the 3rd level before the age of 25. He really had the capital to be proud. It's already the 3rd level. Kui Wenhua also showed a trace of shock, and then followed up with a sentence. God bless my Kui family, this time you have a great chance of entering Kui Wei Sword Pavilion. Uncle Kui Jun was secretly excited, and the fact was indeed so. Recently, in order to ensure that he could enter the Kui Wei Sword Pavilion, the family robbed and killed many sword geniuses in Longming County. They offended many forces openly and secretly. Even the swordsman of the Zhang family was secretly attacked and killed. Moreover, the Kui Wei Sword Pavilion will recruit 3 disciples in 2 years. Under normal circumstances, the Sword Pavilion will only accept 3 disciples in a 60-year period. More quotas also represent greater opportunities. As long as his uncle Kui Jun can enter the upper sect and have Yuanying cultivators preach, he will surely soar to the sky, and there will be hope for Jiandan and even Yingying. At that time, he can also give back to the family and destroy his enemies. No one in Longming County dares to bully him, and he will be below 1 sect and above 10,000 people. The two kept communicating. And the team also walked out of the White Fang Valley and came to a dry riverbed outside the valley. There is still some magnetism here, but it can be provided for low-altitude flight by foundation building cultivators. The Kui family breathed a sigh of relief and let down their guard a little. Elder, this most dangerous place has been passed, and I don't think anyone will take action again, Uncle Kui Jun said. It's no wonder he thought so. He had been to Xianxi for no less than 10 times. Because his family kept a good secret, there was no danger in the first 10 times. It was just because the number of escorts was decreasing. Besides, their family didn't have that many enemies. There were only 2 forces, with equal strength, including the Zhang family. And after investigation, there was no obvious personnel transfer in these forces recently. Therefore, for the Kui family, they are now generally safe. Kui Wenhua nodded without hesitation. Uncle Kui Jun said to a clan uncle beside him, Uncle, turn off the Lai Duongsing formation. It consumes a lot of spirit stones to keep it open. Lai Duongsing formation is a ground-level formation, but now it has been improved by the formation master of the Kui family in order to be used on the road. Reduced power, but greatly increased excitement. Although the power is not as good as before, it is still a ground-level formation. Its consumption is huge. 1 hour is 500 spirit stones. It takes at least 3 days to go back and forth, and costs tens of thousands of spirit stones. Even the Kui family can hardly afford it. Uncle Kui-jun also had his own thoughts. After closing the formation, the remaining spiritual stones would be his as long as he operated them a little. With so many spiritual stones, he couldn't help but be tempted. The other tribesmen thought the same way. Anyway, they were safe, and there was only one last section of the road left. It would be better to earn some spiritual stones for their own practice. Kui Wenhu always turned a blind eye to such things. Many of the tribesmen in front of him were his direct bloodline. It would also be good for him to give the latter more assets. Suddenly, Kui Wenhu raised his eyebrows with deep joy in his eyes. He glanced at the tribesman beside him, thought about it, and finally gritted his teeth and made a decision. There are some situations ahead, but they are not dangerous. You wait here, I will be back soon. The next moment, Kui Wenhu's figure appeared a mile away, and it kept flashing. This ancestor who had been trapped in the middle stage of the golden elixir for 50 years had a premonition that the opportunity for his breakthrough was not far away, so he naturally had to go and see what was going on. Moreover, with his cultivation and skills, it would only take a few breaths to return to the tribesmen. When Kui Wenhu left, it happened to rain heavily. It was already dark in the early morning, and the sky was even more gloomy. Rain had no effect on cultivators. The Kui family members were not alert at all, but continued to move forward, wanting to return home earlier. At this moment, the texture of the rain changed, and suddenly turned into rain spears. Under the blessing of gravity, it fell from the sky with amazing power. No, the enemy is attacking, protect Uncle Jun, send a message to the elders. Along with the Kui family's exclamations, several black shadows appeared in their field of vision. If Kui Wenhu was here, he would definitely be surprised how these people escaped to his spiritual sense detection. Seeing this, Kui Junshu's face changed instantly. Now he also understood that Kui Wenhu had fallen into the trap of luring the tiger away from the mountain, and the power of the formation had been closed by them before. It was equivalent to his own protective power, which dropped by at least 8 levels. However, when he did not sense the breath of the giant and cultivator, his expression was relieved a lot. The Kui family only dared to let Uncle Kui-jun go to the sword pond after confirming the specific whereabouts of several hostile giant. In other words, unless the enemy spends a lot of money to hire a giant killer, the most who can come to rob and kill is a giant cultivator. It is probably this giant who led Kui Wenhu away. Giant against giant, then the rest is a group of foundation building cultivators. Regarding this, the Kui family is no longer timid. In their field of vision, there are only 6 men in black. The number of the enemy is even less than their own. Engage. A loud cry broke through the sky, and the two sides officially fought. Chapter 175 Beheading, Dilemma. When faced with a surprise attack, the Kui family did not choose to evacuate at the first time. First, they were afraid of an ambush. Now that the top strongman Kui Wenhu was not there, if they went their separate ways out of fear, they would be defeated one by one. Second, the overall strength of the enemy in front of them was not above them, and even the number of people was not more than that of the Kui family. It looked like they were here to die. These were the reasons why they chose to engage the enemy. But what happened next was beyond their expectations. The masked man in the lead rushed through many obstacles in an instant and came to Kui Junshu, less than 5 feet away. This man had a long spear in his hand, and he was so fierce that he directly tore a hole in the defense line. No one in the Kui family could resist, and they were all left aside and leaned to one side. At this moment, there were only 2 late foundation building cultivators protecting Kui Junshu. One of them summoned a small shield, and the other cast a defensive restriction Taoist spell, hoping to play a role in obstruction. The Kui family's positions were scattered. Because when the foundation building cultivators fight, if you are crowded in one place, you are easily attacked by a large range of spells and cannot support effective defensive moves. But it was also because of the dispersion that when the black-clothed men killed the center of the crowd, it was difficult for other members of the Kui family to return to help in the first place, giving the killer a golden opportunity. This is not the Kui family's fault. The main reason is that they did not expect that the other party's speed was so fast and reached the near point in an instant. But no matter what, Uncle Kui-jun's crisis has come. Yan Lingyu was masked, holding the top-grade spiritual weapon Xuanqi Black Dragon Spear in his hand, and his whole body's magic power was constantly infused into it, and he even no longer cared about his own protection. That's right, the group of black-clothed men who attacked the Kui family were the Yan family. After communicating with the Zhang family, they ambushed here. The method of avoiding the detection of the giant and master's spiritual consciousness was also given by the Zhang family. The opportunity to take action was Kui Wenhu's departure. Although the Yan family did not know what method Zhang Pinghu had come up with to lead the giant and monk away, these were not their Yan family's business. At this moment, everything was ready, and all that was missing was to take down Uncle Kui Jun's head. For the Yan family, beheading is much simpler than annihilation. And the target was a key training cultivator. The Kui family dared to take on the enemy, but they didn't react to this. The aftermath of these foundation-building cultivators fighting could kill Uncle Kui Jun, which would inevitably make the Kui family feel constrained. One side has concerns, while the other side is unscrupulous, and the apparent gap between the two sides will be narrowed or even eliminated. Yan Lingyu stared at the target and moved very quickly, not caring about the attacks that might hit his body. Because he had his family members behind him, he trusted them and believed that Yan Xianhong and others could create conditions for him to attack. In fact, Yan Lingyu had done a lot of such surprise attacks. That was during the Battle of Fumin, when assassinations occurred frequently between the two sides. The Yan family gained a lot of combat experience. Therefore, they were able to handle this matter with ease. There was another point that Yan Lingyu secretly doubted. According to intelligence, the Kui family had an Earth-level formation, but strangely, the other party had not used it until now. This made the targeted measures originally prepared by the Zhang family ineffective, and also made Yan Lingyu a little worried. But it was useless to think so much. Now that the spears were intertwined and the target was in front of him, he should deal with it first. If Yan Lingyu knew that the Kui family would take the lead in removing the formation to save some spirit stones, he would laugh until he fainted. The spear is like a dragon. Yan Lingyu's arm shook, and when he was less than 5 feet away from Kui Junshu, he threw the spear in his hand. The mysterious black dragon spear turned into a black dragon, bearing its fangs and claws, majestic and powerful, and rushed out straight. After using this trick, Yan Lingyu turned around and retreated without looking back, regardless of what defensive Taoist magic the opponent used. Tailang Fengsa Talisman, Thousand Water Black Turtle Shield, Shining Emblem Mark, Seal of Thunder God. Seeing the terrifying black dragon coming towards him, Kui Junshu and his clansmen used their strongest defensive moves together. However, it was different from the confidence that they thought they could easily resist it. The black dragon actually broke through the layers of obstacles and shattered the defenses, and finally descended on Uncle Kui Jun. No, the former's eyes were full of reluctance and fear, but nothing could help. He was still swallowed up by the huge momentum and died. Key training is like a chicken in front of foundation building, with no resistance. How can it be so strong? What kind of move is this? Could it be that the giant and cultivator secretly attacked, watching the object they wanted to protect being robbed and killed? The two Kui family foundation building cultivators couldn't believe it. At the same time, a trace of fear rose in their hearts. But they soon found something wrong. They noticed that the black-clothed man who performed this move didn't even want his own spiritual weapon, and turned around to flee. And the man's momentum suddenly dropped. This killing move must have consumed a lot of the opponent's mana. It was even a life-consuming forbidden technique. Leave the killer, a Kui family cultivator shouted shrilly after reacting. In fact, Yan Linyu's current situation was just as they thought, exhausted and with little mana left. But the difference is that there is a warm current soothing his whole body. There is something that contributed to the killing of Uncle Kui Jun. That is a formation, the Liaxin Dao Fu Array. This is the Fuan formation that Yan Lingyu and Qin Ran inherited from the Zhenming sect. This formation is different from other Fu arrays. It injects the array talismans into the bodies of multiple cultivators, allowing the flow of these cultivators' mana to converge and be used together. It is a purely auxiliary formation. But its effect is powerful and extremely suitable for everyone in the Yan family. Yan Linyu's move of gun out like a dragon seems to be just a move by him alone. But in fact it gathers all the mana in his body and the mana provided by the other 6 clansmen at the same time. When this move is used, it is not just him who is weak. The strength of other clansmen who provide true energy support is also greatly reduced. But the ending is good, and the target is indeed defeated. Yan Lingyu knows that beheading assassination means fast, accurate and unexpected. If you are timid and procrastinate, once the opponent reacts and sets up his moves, it will be very difficult to make any progress. These principles were first learned through reading in early years, and secondly, they were put into practice in the Battle of Fu Minimum. The same is true for the fight between monks. Unless the strength of both sides is completely balanced, the end of the war is in a flash. If you are careless for a moment, death is waiting for you. Uncle Qiujun died unjustly. Although Yan Lingyu achieved his goal, he did not relax at all. It is easy to deal with the opponent, but it is difficult for the family to get out of it unscathed. Only if the Yan family gets out alive, it will be worth it, otherwise it will be working for the Zhang family in vain. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.